Chapter 2666. Amo Qingwu, Tai Budian and the other girls pouted and sat in the room angrily. This was the bedroom prepared by the elves for His Majesty the Elf Emperor. It was extremely elegant and graceful, elegant and luxurious. However, Amo Qingwu and the other three girls didn't look happy at all at this moment. Chu Yang hung his head and sat opposite the four girls as if he had committed a crime. He spread his hands innocently. You really can't blame me for this. You were there to see the situation at that time. It's not like you didn't know. How can you blame me for this? I've been wronged. Pretend? Keep pretending. You're so pretentious. The four girls each let out a cold snort and looked at Chu Yang with scrutinizing eyes. Minister Chu broke out in a cold sweat. In all honesty, I've been wronged. Minister Chu stared at them innocently. On his head, face, on his neck and even on his lips, they were all densely packed with lip marks. Even half of his lips were bulging. They were actually swollen from the kisses. These were all the masterpieces of those female elves who couldn't help but do in their ecstasy. The male elves had better self-control after all. Besides, no matter how excited they were, they wouldn't kiss a man. But those female elves were different. The moment they saw that the spring of life had recovered and that it was all thanks to the Elf Emperor, they rushed up and kissed Chu Yang for almost 2 hours without thinking. Besides, there was still a large group of people who hadn't lined up yet. After a round of ecstatic kisses, Chu Yang's eyelids and lips were all swollen. This showed how serious the disaster was. Even now, his neck was still full of cherry lips marks. In this situation, how could Amo Qingwu and the other girls not be jealous? It would be strange if they didn't. Chu Yang was strictly ordered. He was to maintain his current appearance and not be allowed to circulate his energy to recover. Then he would come forward to be interrogated by the four girls. This guy is very perverted. I've known this for a long time. Tai Budian snorted. He was like this in the lower three heavens. In order to win the alliance of her sisters, Tai Budian betrayed Chu Yang without even blinking an eye. This was really an injustice to Black Sky, but before Chu Yang could say anything, he heard Wu Qianshan nodding hard and saying, "Yes, I can testify to this. That's what happened." Chu Yang fainted. What kind of people are these? Can't the two of you respect the truth? Was it possible? You can imagine on the third day. He has also provoked many young ladies from aristocratic clans. Amo Qingwu didn't even blink as she spoke without thinking. Chu Yang lowered his head, indicating that he had nothing to say. Little lowly, you were still a little girl who didn't know anything back then. When did you see me with another woman? Furthermore, he had provoked a lot of people. If there really were a lot of people. But your second brother can also tear me apart, right? He dared to say anything. This matter is reasonable. The first time you saw me in the upper three heavens, you took liberties with me. How can it be fake? Zi Shiqing accused domineeringly. Chu Yang sighed sadly. He was completely speechless. There was really no reason to reason with him. There was no way he could survive this day. Big Sister Zi, when you first showed up, you were dressed in a black robe that gave off a sinister vibe. I couldn't tell whether you were a man or a woman and thought you were a reclusive old devil. How could I have the guts to flirt with you the first time I saw you? What kind of taste do I have? Even if my taste was heavy. Even if I wasn't afraid of death. I still didn't know if you were a woman at that time. I was still afraid of being disgusted. Evil deeds are everywhere. The evidence is conclusive. This is intolerable. The four girls said in unison. Let's just talk about today. When those female elves pounced on him, the 5 elves and the rest had already left. He obviously had a lot of time and means to avoid those female elves. But he just stood there without moving, waiting for them to kiss him. Who doesn't know about the ambition of a wolf? Amo Qingwu pouted. That's right. With Chu Yang's cultivation, not to mention these elves, even if Di Ho came over to molest him, he would definitely not succeed. But today he was kissed to his heart's content without any resistance. Why is this happening? Zi Shiqing said sarcastically. This guy has bad intentions. Wu Qianshan criticized seriously. He must be lustful. At this moment he is still pretending to be pitiful and aggrieved, trying to get away with it. Tai Budian said decisively. Can I say something? Chu Yang raised his hand weakly. No. The four girls roared at the same time. Chu Yang lowered his head in grief. His heart was full of bitterness. How am I going to live in the future? It was already hard enough for an average family to have a tigress at home. But there are 4 of them at home. And all of them are at the level of a Tyrannosaurus Rex among tigresses. This time, the 4 girls ordered Chu Yang to make countless unequal conditions based on their unreasonable principle of jealousy. Only then did they let him go unwillingly. The four girls naturally saw what happened. They also knew that Chu Yang really could not be blamed for this. But if we want to be jealous, what can you do about it? Do you dare to do anything about it? In the face of such arguments, even if Minister Chu was extremely powerful, he could only raise the white flag high up in the sky. But it was undeniable that this period of time could be said to be the happiest and most comfortable period of Chu Yang's and the four girls' lives in these few years. In addition, Chu Yang was very excited to find that after he was done with the elves, that indescribably huge power of destiny was continuously instilled into his body with an overwhelming force. It actually caused some changes in his dantian. Originally, there were clusters of nebulas in his dantian. But now, there were actually specks of starlight shining in the nebula. The most obvious one was a crescent moon hanging high up in the nebula. Chu Yang looked at it and found it familiar. This crescent moon was actually somewhat similar to the elves' moon god, and under the nebula, there were actually embryonic forms of mountains and rivers, although he did not understand what these changes meant. However, Chu Yang also knew that his cultivation had once again made an astonishing leap, and he had obtained the power of destiny and the power of merit this time. It was because he had single-handedly saved the entire elven race. In these few days, Chu Yang did not completely lose contact with the outside world. On the contrary, because Mo Tianji had given him the assistant of Tianji's hand of heavenly secrets, all the news in the world was converging towards him. However, Chu Yang was also able to receive every piece of information that Mo Tianji could receive. He truly experienced Mo Tianji's satisfaction of being able to control the world without going out. He had to admit that this feeling was really too good. Once he had control of it, he really could not bear to let it go. Saint Empress Shuexian gathered the last of the Saint Emperor Palace's strength to besiege Shui Leihan and was defeated. The last 1,300 experts of the Saint Emperor Palace were completely wiped out. The Saint Empress escaped pathetically with only her body intact. Chu Yang secretly criticized. With Shui Leihan's strength, since he had the upper hand, how could he let Shuexian escape? It must be because of their sibling relationship that he could not bear to kill her, which allowed her to escape. Chu Yang's guess was extremely accurate on this point. The next piece of information was that although Saint Empress Shuexian was lucky enough to escape the trap of the Eastern Royal Heaven, the disaster was not yet over. She encountered the former Heavenly Emperor of Green Firmament, Mo Qingqing, and was tragically killed. Her physical body was destroyed, and only a trace of her original spirit escaped. Although she did not completely perish, her strength was still greatly reduced. Every time Chu Yang received an important piece of information, Wu Qianshan would quickly write it down. Otherwise, if he wanted to check the information from the Hand of Heavenly Secrets later, he might have to flip through it for a long time before he could find it. The amount of information he received every moment was really too much. After all, Chu Yang was not a Mo Tianji. He could not manipulate the Hand of Heavenly Secrets as he pleased. This means that the Saint Empress' original body was destroyed this time. Chu Yang pondered and said, "This means that the Saint Empress is the same as the Saint Monarch. At most, she only has 3 major doppelgangers. Currently, 1 doppelganger and 1 original body have been destroyed. At most, she has 2 more doppelgangers. And because her original body was destroyed, it is difficult for her strength to recover to its peak state. As for the Saint Monarch, he has already destroyed 2 doppelgangers. Now he only has 1 doppelganger and 1 original body. And his original body has also been severely injured. It will probably take a long time for him to recover." Wu Qianshan also recorded this sentence. This was the most direct evaluation of the enemy's strength. The Demon Emperor Heaven announced that the Saint Emperor Palace's strength has collapsed and no one is left alive. Chu Yang looked and said, "The Demon Emperor Heaven has basically regained its peace and is fully prepared for the battle against the extraterrestrial demons." Wu Qianshan crossed off the Demon Emperor Heaven from the white paper. The Ultimate Heaven has also announced that it is completed. Dong Wushang is personally training the troops. Currently, the Ultimate Heaven has already begun to prepare for the battle against the extraterrestrial demons, Chu Yang said. Wu Qianshan crossed off the Ultimate Heaven again. The 7 temporary imperial residences of the Saint Emperor Palace in various realms have all been destroyed. All the people inside have been killed. There are close to 30,000 experts inside, and they are the myriad saints' true spirits. As Chu Yang said this, he couldn't help but gasp. How many people were there in 1 temporary imperial residence? There were actually more than 30,000 myriad saints' true spirits in 7 temporary imperial residences. This was simply insane. Rui Budong's Heavenly Armament Pavilion of Thieves actually changed its style during this period of time and started to fight for hegemony. This is simply ridiculous. Chu Yang's face was full of black lines. Why do the others still have some strength? This guy is also blindly joining in the fun. A nest of thieves, and he actually called himself the Great Emperor of Thieves. Chu Yang held his forehead with one hand and said mockingly, "This is too much. I can't take it anymore, I really can't take it anymore." Wu Qianshan and the other three girls were all stunned when they saw this. After understanding at a glance, they held their bellies and laughed. When they thought of Rui Butong's skinny monkey-like appearance in the imperial robe and crown, they couldn't help but feel embarrassed. Among the brothers, perhaps only Rui Butong, even if he wore a dragon robe, did not look too. Chapter 2667. Luo Kadi and Xin Yang gathered the old subordinates of the Heavenly Armament Pavilion and formed an alliance with the Wolves of Tian Quebec. They raised the banner of exterminating the extraterrestrial demons and recruited soldiers to prepare for a great war. GMO is also making similar preparations. It's just that he's more inclined to exterminate the remnants of the Holy Emperor Palace. His side has the most remnants of the Holy Emperor Palace in the Imperial Court. Fortunately, there aren't many experts, so GMO can handle them with ease. The Big Western Sky has announced the completion of the extermination. Gu Duxing is currently using extreme speed to gather soldiers and generals, recruiting new soldiers and buying horses. The entire Big Western Sky is in the midst of training soldiers like a raging fire, preparing to go to war with the heavenly demons. Aoshian, S. Chu Yang's eyes widened. What's wrong? Zi Sheqing and the rest immediately sensed that something had happened and hurriedly turned their heads to look. Due to the urgency of the situation, he wasn't able to summon all of us. Thus, the elites of the clear sky heavens were sent out and the battle lasted for 3 days and 3 nights. With the cooperation of the local experts of the clear sky heavens and the backbone of the Heavenly Armament Pavilion, they managed to kill the 3 Devil Masters. The evil Cloud Great Emperor teamed up with the 7 Stars Guards and fought against the doppelganger of Venerable Cloud Great Emperor. 4 of the 7 Stars Guards died and 3 were severely injured. The evil Cloud Great Emperor was also severely injured. Fortunately, the doppelganger of Venerable Cloud Great Emperor was killed and only a little of his original spirit managed to escape. After reading this news, the 5 of them were speechless. Who would have thought that the last 10,000 Saints' true spirit base would actually appear in the clear sky heavens so unexpectedly? Furthermore, Ao Shiyun's improvement during this period of time was truly godly. How could the clone of a saint be so easy to deal with? On that day, Chu Yang and the other experts joined forces. Even with Mo Yuntian's 3 great 7-star guards as support, they still ended up with a tragic victory. And in this battle, Ao Shiyun had joined forces with all 7 7-star guards of the Clear Sky sect to kill the other clone of Master Yun. Although 4 of the 7 7-star guards were dead and 3 were severely injured, and although he himself was also severely injured, this battle result undoubtedly proved that Ao Shiyun's current abilities did not fall behind his brothers. He might even have achieved a breakthrough. But the intensity of this battle caused everyone's hearts to sink to the extreme. Of the 7-star bodyguards, 4 were dead and 3 were severely injured. This was to the destiny of the green firmament. It was a huge blow. Chu Yang heaved a long sigh. It was as if he could see Ao Shiyun's pained expression. Wuxia never showed his emotions on his face. He hid all his emotions in his heart. He was a rather introverted person. However, Xian's feelings were not weaker than any of his brothers. On the contrary, the more repressed a person was, the more they valued relationships. Now, so many of the experts under Ao Xieyun's command had been killed or injured. It was easy to imagine how uncomfortable it was for Ao Xieyun. Tai Budian frowned. Doesn't Ao Shiyun still have the super version of the heavy pill? How could there be such heavy casualties? Chu Yang said, in this battle, apart from Xieyun himself, there's no one else on Xieyun's side who can fight against Lord Yun's doppelganger head-on. Even Xieyun might not be able to do so. Fortunately, I left him 30 heavy pills last time. Otherwise, the result of this battle would have been disastrous. Forgive me for not knowing. However, when faced with such a strong enemy like Lord Yun, without a certain level of cultivation, even if there's a healing panacea like the heavy pill, one might not have the time to consume it. It's just that the next time I see this fellow, I'll definitely give him a good thrashing. He actually went to do such a dangerous thing by himself. Why didn't he inform us beforehand? Is the Heavenly Secrets Intelligence Department all useless? Such an important piece of information is only reported now. They really deserve to die. Chu Yang didn't hide his sorrow at all. Mo Qingwu was silent for a while. Then she said, Big Brother Xieyun has always been a very arrogant person. Previously he fought against the doppelganger of the saint many times, but he never had the chance to participate in the battle. I think this time he probably didn't say anything on purpose. He probably wants to do it by himself. Of course. This little one definitely thinks so. But what kind of person is that saint? How can his doppelganger be small? That day when we first fought, we formed a calamity battle formation and almost gave it our all before we were lucky enough to take him down. When we got rid of the other doppelganger, although it seemed easy, it was also because we caught him off guard. Also, I used the devouring power of the calamity sword as the initiative. Only then did we succeed. He was envious and insisted on fighting with his own strength. Although he took down the doppelganger of the saint, he caused himself to be injured. What's the point? Chu Yang said angrily, when we see him later he'll definitely be beaten up. No one can persuade him otherwise. After thinking about it, Chu Yang still wasn't at ease. He immediately ordered an elf to summon the dark deity. I'll have to trouble you to make a trip to the clear sky heavens and give some medicine to the evil cloud great emperor. Then, if there's nothing else, you can stay there for the time being. At that time you'll set off with the evil cloud great emperor and meet up at the purple cloud heavens. The dark deity agreed readily. He took the medicine that Chu Yang gave him and set off immediately. Only after sending such a super bodyguard to Ao Shiyun did Chu Yang feel slightly relieved. The dark deity might not be comparable to the East Emperor Demon Empress in terms of actual strength, but he was definitely not inferior to the other emperors and empresses. Furthermore, his assassination skills were almost not inferior to the divine soul of the calamity. He was definitely the best candidate to be a bodyguard. What Chu Yang was most worried about now was that the saint and empress were already at the end of their rope. If they were really desperate and wanted to take revenge on everyone, the best choice now was Ao Shiyun, who had just finished a great battle and had yet to recover from his injuries. One must know that the strength that Ao Shiyun possessed now was really very weak compared to the top-notch combination of the saint and empress in the Heaven Imperial Court. Now that the doppelganger of the saint has been completely destroyed, it's the only body left. Only my original body is left, Chu Yang reminded Wu Qianqian. Wu Qianqian hurriedly changed another stroke. Hearing that, Tai Budian asked, there are only a total of 3 saints? Is there any basis? We can't be careless about this. We must confirm that there's no mistake. Otherwise, it may cause an unforeseen event and the impact will be immeasurably huge. Hearing that, Chu Yang was also stunned. There should only be these 3. Creating doppelgangers requires the creator's cultivation, lifespan and original spirit. It's not easy to create them. Even with the saint's strength, creating 3 doppelgangers is already the limit. Zi Sheqing said, in addition, logically speaking, the saint's 3 doppelgangers are respectively guarding 3 10,000 saints' real spirit bases. If there's one more, then there should be one more base. According to the information we have, there are only 3 10,000 saints' real spirit bases, so there should only be 3 doppelgangers. Furthermore, if he forcefully creates doppelgangers, the strength of the original body will be further weakened. I believe the saint won't be so unwise. Everyone nodded. Mo Yuntian announced the completion of the extermination, Chu Yang said. Thus Wu Qianqian crossed out Mo Yuntian. The former heavenly emperor of Green Firmament, Mo Qingqing, led her trusted subordinates and went to the East Royal Heavens after killing the Empress Shuexian. Now the East Royal Heavens has completed the mission of exterminating the remaining forces of the Saint Emperor Palace and is fully prepared for war. The Eastern Sovereign has announced that he will personally lead the army to the Purple Firmament Heavens and will be the commander of the Eastern Sovereign Heavens Army. The former Green Firmament Heavenly Emperor, Mo Qingqing, will be the deputy commander of the army. Chu Yang was dumbstruck once this news was read out loud. He was left speechless. This matter. How did it develop and change? How did these 2 people end up together? It seemed somewhat incomprehensible, inconceivable, and unimaginable. Everyone looked at each other when they heard this news. None of them were mentally prepared for something like this. Although this news couldn't be considered bad news in any way, it was still a little too shocking. This matter, TSK. I'm afraid there are other inside stories. Chu Yang smacked his lips and sighed. What he didn't know was that not only was there an inside story, there was a huge inside story. How could Chu Yang have known that these 2 Sky Kings who had just gotten together were actually old rivals in love for more than 1,000,000 years? Furthermore, they had not been able to compete for the position of Sky King. Furthermore, they were still fiercely fighting for affection with each other day. Of course, everyone didn't know about these inside stories. Otherwise, they would be even more dumbstruck and inexplicably shocked. When the same piece of news reached the ears of the Demon Empress, Demon Exena, spat out the mouthful of tea she had just drunk with a pu sound. The target of that mouthful of tea was Demon Empress Yao Ningning, who was standing in front of her like a javelin and being reprimanded. A certain empress was sprayed all over her face by this sudden mouthful of tea. Yao Ningning was incomparably flabbergasted and incomparably depressed. She was clearly standing and being reprimanded while listening to Empress Mother's latest instructions. Why did it suddenly erupt? Her entire face was covered with water, and she didn't dare to wipe it off. Cough, cough, cough. The Demon Empress coughed and only calmed down after a long while. She gasped for breath and said, "The Eastern Royal Heavens is really quite lively now." At the side, the beautiful woman in white who was more familiar with the inside story covered her mouth. She wanted to laugh but didn't dare to. It was really hard to hold it in. More than 1,000,000 years of love rivals and losers were together again today, and Dong Huang was one step ahead again. The depression of the heavenly emperor of the green firmament, Mo Qingqing, could be imagined at this moment. It was just that it was hard to imagine what kind of amazing thing would erupt between the two of them. She was looking forward to it. In any case, Shui Leihan definitely won't have it easy, the Demon Empress said very calmly. The Demon Empress was still quite clear about Mo Qingqing's style of doing things. Back then, that fellow pestered her relentlessly. When she went to the extreme heaven he followed her there, when she went to the purple firmament heavens he followed her there, when she went back to the Demon Emperor heaven he actually followed her back. Because of this, the Demon Emperor and Mo Qingqing fought no less than hundreds of times. However, Mo Qingqing's infatuation didn't change. She was still infatuated and pestered him relentlessly. It was only until the Demon Empress got married that Mo Qingqing finally gave up. However, on the day of the wedding, Mo Qingqing came to congratulate her. On the wedding day she made this declaration, although you're married, I'm still waiting for you. If you find out that this fellow has a lot of problems, come and find me. If you don't want to live with him anymore, come and find me too. If he dies in his prime, come and find me too. Chapter 2668. Who would speak like that at someone else's wedding? Before she could finish her sentence, Mo Qingqing was beaten up by the Demon Emperor and Demon Empress, Dong Huang Purple Firmament Heavenly Emperor and the rest. That time, the Heavenly Emperor of the Green Firmament was almost beaten to death at the wedding. The Demon Emperor and Demon Empress were married, and the Heavenly Emperor of the Green Firmament was beaten up. This incident was a joke in the Heaven Imperial Court back then. It would definitely be a good show if such a person went up against Shui Leihan now. Of course, it's foreseeable. The beautiful woman in white laughed. The Demon Empress frowned in surprise. Ning, where's your jade pendant? Isn't it right here? Yao Ningning habitually touched her own neck and removed the jade pendant from her neck. Then she cried out in shock, "This isn't my jade pendant. Whose jade pendant is this? Where's my jade pendant? What's going on?" It was a piece of jade that was bright and clear. It must be something good. Even a blind person could see that. But it wasn't her original jade pendant. Although the shape of this jade pendant was similar to her own, it actually had Donghuang Shui Leihan's name on it, as well as that familiar pressure of heaven and earth, Donghuang's divine consciousness. So, no matter how she judged it, this definitely wasn't her original jade pendant. Yao Ningning was confused at this moment. What's going on? What's going on? Why did this jade pendant change? You idiot, the Demon Empress glared and wanted to scold her son, but she didn't finish. She roared, "You didn't even know that your own jade pendant had been swapped. You only know now when I ask. Tell me, what else can you do? This is something that's hanging around your neck. Why don't you have your head hanging off your neck too?" Demon Empress looked confused, her eyes full of grievance. The beautiful woman in white persuaded her at the right time. "Sister, you're going overboard. It's Dong Huang who did it. Not to mention Ning, even if it was me, I might not be able to detect it. Not to mention Ning, yes, Auntie is right. That jade pendant was obviously taken away by Dong Huang. With his skills. What can I do if he wants to take something from me? Would I be able to guard against it?" However, in the face of her furious mother, even with the help of the auntie, Yao Tai could only lower her head and admit her mistake. "It's my fault. I shouldn't have lost the jade pendant you gave me. I should have fought back. Fight to the death. Even if it's Dong Huang, even if I know I'm no match for him, I'll still protect my jade pendant with all my might." The Demon Empress rolled her eyes speechlessly. "Don't make me angry here. Get out." Yao Ningning felt as if he had been pardoned. He rolled and crawled out of the wilderness. When she reached the door, she remembered and asked, Imperial Mother, then this jade pendant, should we throw it away? Throw it away? What are you thinking about? The demon empress roared. That is the amulet that your uncle Dong Huang made for you. It's a rare treasure in the entire Heaven Palace and you want to throw it away? You actually said you wanted to throw it away? I'm not throwing. I'm just kidding. Yao Ningning was scared out of her wits. He turned around and ran away. Can't I worship him like an ancestor? This little rascal. The demon empress roared for a while and suddenly laughed herself. Say it. Why did I raise such a heartless son? He's so worrisome. The beautiful woman in white pursed her lips and smiled. This topic was really not good to talk about. You can scold your own son however you want, but if others say anything bad about him, you'll immediately fight to the death. I'm not annoying. Then the demon empress took out a jade pendant and roared, Shui Leihan. What do you want to do with my jade pendant? Taking it without telling is called a thief. I didn't expect you, the great Dong Huang, to do such a thing. The jade pendant that Dong Huang took away and the jade pendant in the demon empress' hand now had the demon empress' own divine consciousness. Naturally, they could communicate instantly. At this time, Shui Leihan in the East Royal Heavens was drinking tea with Mo Qingqing. Suddenly, he felt the jade pendant on his chest vibrate, transmitting a message. Shui Leihan shook his head and smiled. He said helplessly, Women. It's only been a few days and you're already sending messages to talk to me. How annoying. Hearing that, Mo Qingqing's face turned pale. She looked at Shui Leihan blissfully as he took out the demon empress jade pendant. A certain someone shook his head and checked the messages from the other side. Although he was anxious, he couldn't hear anything. He couldn't help but be furious. He said angrily, Put down the jade pendant if you find it annoying. I don't find it annoying. I'm happy to listen. Why should I? Shui Leihan looked at him in surprise. This is a private conversation between the two of us. Why are you interfering? It's my business if I find it annoying. So what if you're happy to listen? Don't you know that you can't bully your friend's wife? As a celestial emperor, even if you're past your prime, you can't be so despicable. Mo Qingqing smashed the teacup in her hand into pieces. She had nowhere to vent her anger. At this time, Shui Leihan had already finished listening to the demon empress roar. His heart couldn't help but twitch. He instantly felt his legs go soft. But when he turned his head, his expression didn't change. He shook his head lightly and smiled helplessly. Mo Qingqing's curiosity was indeed aroused. What did she say? Shui Leihan smiled bitterly and said, I thought it was something important. If you want to know, there's no harm in telling you. She just asked me what I ate this morning. Sigh, this woman's thoughts really make one speechless. Mo Qingqing was dumbfounded. She was full of displeasure but couldn't say anything. Brother Mo, we're both celestial emperors of our generation. How can we make things difficult for ourselves when it comes to food and drink? Shui Leihan had a helpless look on his face. Women, I really don't know what they're thinking about every day. Are they really that bored? If they miss me, they can just say that they miss me. Is there a need to talk about such a nonsensical topic? Mo Qingqing's face turned green. Alright, let's ignore her. Come, Brother Mo, where were we just now? Shui Leihan put the jade pendant away with an indifferent expression. I forgot. Mo Qingqing looked dejected. Looking at Shui Leihan's smug face, she suddenly felt powerless. Damn it, where were we just now? What the fuck do I have to talk to you about? I'm going to take a look at the army's training now. This can't be delayed. Mo Qingqing stood up dejectedly and walked out. She really didn't want to stay here for a moment longer. Take care, Brother Mo. It's been hard on you, Brother Mo. I'm counting on you. Shui Leihan watched Mo Qingqing walk out proudly. After making sure that she was far away, he immediately took out the jade pendant impatiently. Qingqing, listen to me. I didn't mean to ignore you just now. This is what happened. You have to listen to me. There's a reason for this. Dong Huang looked anxious. From the jade pendant came the roar of the demon empress. Shui Leihan was sweating profusely. He lowered his voice and said, Calm down. I really didn't mean to. Yes, it's my fault. You're angry? Of course you should be. If I were you, I would be angry too. What's wrong with this? Don't worry. You can't blame me for this. You don't know how infuriating this Mo Qingqing is. He actually said that you're old and wrinkled. I was just angry. This bastard. How could he say that? I was angry at that time. Didn't I just finish arguing with him? If you were in front of me, I wouldn't be so nosy. You know my Xian. I can't bear to see others say anything bad about you. Moreover, Mo Qingqing went overboard. After the explanation, Dong Huang was sweating profusely, but his whole body relaxed. He put the jade pendant back and actually crossed his legs again. Mo Qingqing. You're finished, haha. He actually hummed a little tune. Xue Qi, who had been listening in the room behind him, spat in disdain. Fuck, he's too shameless. In order to deal with his love rival, he actually started to slander. Are you still Dong Huang? Don't tell others that you know me, I can't afford to lose face. I really feel bad for Mo Qingqing. To have met such a love rival. Just as he was cursing in his heart, Xue Leihan walked in with a happy face. When he saw Xue Qi, he immediately flew into a rage. Why, what's with that expression on your face? You seem to be very disapproving of it? Facing his brother's ferocious look, Xue Qi hurriedly smiled apologetically. No way. My big brother is wise and honorable. He's in love with my sister-in-law. That Mo Qingqing is just a troublemaker. She's too rude. To think that he used to be a celestial emperor. He actually doesn't know that he shouldn't covet his friend's wife. I really despise him from the bottom of my heart. Xue Leihan nodded sanctimoniously. You can be so righteous. My years of teaching have not been in vain. I'm very comforted. Remember to work harder and continue to promote it. Do you understand? With his hands behind his back, he walked away. Xue Qi smiled apologetically. Watching his brother's back disappear into the distance, he finally spat and muttered, Fuck, if I were to learn from you like this, I'm afraid that I'd have long learned to cheat, steal, eat, drink, gamble, and smoke. Latest news, Saint Empress Shuexianer was discovered in the ultimate heaven. It immediately triggered a fierce battle. Dong Wushang personally went to fight with her. Shuexianer was no match for Great Emperor Wushang and couldn't escape. She had no choice but to summon another doppelganger. However, she was still no match for Great Emperor Wushang Mo Laer and the Seven Stars Guard. At the critical moment, Saint Empress Yun appeared and saved Shuexianer. Looking at this latest news, Chuyang couldn't help but let out a long sigh. Everyone also fell silent. With the news here, it could basically be announced that the strength that Saint Empress and Shuexianer had accumulated for 1,000,000 years had all been destroyed. Now, the strength that still belonged to them was at most the two doppelganger of Shuexianer and Great Emperor Wushang himself. Other than that, there was also the 10,000 Saints' true spirit that was still hidden in the martial world. However, these forces were obviously no longer a threat. Chapter 2669. Holy Emperor Palace, the #1 organization in Celestial Imperial Court that had lasted for millions of years, with no less than 10 million experts, had fallen in a single day. In just a few short months, it had deteriorated day by day, disintegrating like ice. Faced with the opposing forces of the entire Celestial Imperial Court, Holy Emperor Palace, which had lost the support of the people, was destroyed just like that. At this point, Holy Emperor is finished. Chuyang sighed and concluded. In fact, at this moment, Chuyang actually felt a little empty in his heart. Ever since he ascended to Celestial Imperial Court, he had been working hard to increase his own cultivation and struggle for survival. When his own strength had finally developed to a certain extent, he had coincidentally discovered Holy Emperor's secret, causing both sides' positions to have no room for negotiation. All of this seemed to have been arranged by fate long ago. Step by step, the trajectory was clear. From then on, Chuyang had made toppling Holy Emperor his highest goal in Celestial Imperial Court. He walked step by step unswervingly towards this goal. But now, at this very moment, he suddenly received news that Holy Emperor was at the end of his road. Perhaps he didn't even need to do it himself. A few brothers could join hands and take care of Holy Emperor Yun Shangren. At this moment there were really a lot of mixed feelings and even disbelief in disbelief. Was it so easy to achieve all the goals? All of a sudden there was a kind of dreamlike feeling. It was full of unreality. Celestial Imperial Court. Celestial Imperial Court. Chuyang said. Everyone also sighed. The rest of the news is basically the same. Everyone is working hard to reorganize the army and train the soldiers as much as possible, just waiting for the command. Then they will all charge to Purple Cloud Heavens, destroy the extraterrestrial demons, and eliminate the demons forever. The elves are also preparing day and night. Due to the appearance of the heavenly Holy Spirit Spring, a considerable number of elves who were stuck at a bottleneck have loosened their bottlenecks. It is estimated that they will definitely be able to complete the breakthrough before they set off. This is the comprehensive evaluation of the elven army's strength. This will be a big improvement. We can see it from here. We can see that this time the elven race. They have really sent out all the elites. The combat power of the elven army. It is definitely above any other side in the 10 heavens and earth. There is no doubt about this. Chu Yang took a deep breath. Tan Tan is in the battle of the purple cloud heavens right now. But he hasn't returned yet. In fact, he hasn't even sent any news back. This shows that the battle situation there is bound to be unprecedentedly intense. As the battle became more and more intense, the extraterrestrial demons also sent in more and more troops day by day. It was said that the 10 heavenly demon kings of the heavenly demons had already arrived at the front lines. Their target is precisely that layer of white mist. Their attacks are still quite effective. At present, that layer of white fog is far less thick than before. Although it can still hold on, I'm afraid it won't be able to hold on for long. Being completely annihilated is only a matter of time, and it won't be too long. Jiang took a deep breath. If that's the case, shouldn't you, Minister Qiong Xiao, give the order to start the war immediately? Zi Shiqing frowned and said. Of course I want to, but the chaos caused by Tianke Divine Palace has just been quelled. It's not over yet. All the heavens and earth have gone through this turmoil, and their strength has all been greatly damaged. Other than East Royal Heaven, the other heavens and earth are still in a state of integration. At this time they don't have full combat power at all. If they force themselves to go to war, they will only be damaging themselves. Originally, the elves had the most combat power, but after the battle with the Demon Emperor's Heaven Weapon Pavilion, they also lost many elites. Coincidentally, the appearance of the Heavenly Holy Spirit Spring allowed many elves to have a breakthrough in their cultivation. But this all requires a certain amount of time to buffer. Chu Yang frowned. So, no matter what, we must strive for half a year of buffer time. This is already the minimum buffer time. This half a year will determine the final outcome of this battle. In other words, no matter what, we can only send out the troops after half a year. Zi Shiqing asked. Yes, Chu Yang said firmly. What if in this half a year the heavenly barrier of purple clouds is breached by the extraterrestrial demons? Zi Shiqing said worriedly. Zi Shiqing's words were not groundless fears. Originally, the white fog of the heavenly barrier was finally unable to bear the burden due to years of depletion and was gradually worn down. When the extraterrestrial demons saw that the white fog was being worn down, they would only attack more fiercely and energetically. It was not optimistic that the white fog could last for another half a year. With the white fog as a barrier, the gold-robed heavenly guards who now had the geographical advantage still had room to contend with the extraterrestrial demon horde. If the white fog was completely destroyed, not to mention other things, the Tribulation Brothers would not be able to deal with the 10 heavenly demon kings. The actual gap between their strength was still quite big. Any heavenly demon king's strength was not inferior to Yuan Tianji's, and was indeed far superior to the Tribulation Brothers. Sigh, there's no other way. Chu Yang heaved a long sigh and said, during this period of time, although the heavenly palace can be said to have been in continuous wars and disturbances, these disturbances are basically stopped among the higher-ups. Most of the people and most of the forces are still in a dream and do not know the reality that the extraterrestrial demons are about to invade. During the Battle of the Purple Clouds heavens years ago, in fact, no matter how tightly the news was sealed, there would always be leaks. However, all along, the heavenly palace was full of singing and dancing, and there was not the slightest bit of war spirit in the air at all. Of course, this was due to the sealing of the news, but more of it could also be due to human laziness. More than 1,000,000 years of peace have already bred too many negative things, and it is these negative things that are gradually corroding and invading the heavenly palace. I have always been thinking whether the heavenly palace needs a baptism of blood and fire, so that everyone can understand this rotten reality, so that they can realize the horror of war, the horror of the enemy. The heartless flames of war are definitely not empty words. In the long run, even if we defeat the extraterrestrial demons in the purple clouds heavens this time, and even destroy the extraterrestrial demon clan, they will still not feel anything. Chu Yang smiled lightly. In this way, after a long period of time, there will definitely be new extraterrestrial demons or even extraterrestrial demons. It is only a matter of time before the heavenly palace is destroyed. Zi Shiqing heaved a long sigh. Yes, Chu Yang's considerations were also not groundless fears, but objective facts. This was a problem that was worth thinking deeply about. And the key to this problem was that the people of the heavenly palace were really too numb now. I know what you mean and I also understand your thoughts and I agree with your theory, but if you deliberately want to let the extraterrestrial demons in because of this and create a bloody case to warn the people, then, no matter what your intentions are, when the truth is revealed in the future, you will be a sinner for all eternity. Zi Shiqing sighed and said, This is for sure. Chu Yang's face was as hard as iron, and he remained silent. Regardless of the reputation of the people, as long as one had a clear conscience, there was nothing that could not be done. But the matter of letting the extraterrestrial demons run wild, could one really have a clear conscience? Most of the people in the heavenly palace were ultimately innocent, and there was no reason for them to become the sacrifice of this decadent regime. Chu Yang felt that he could not, should not, and did not dare to do so. I also know that you want to build an everlasting foundation for the heavenly palace. After all, after the battle with the extraterrestrial demons, with our cultivation, we are about to reach the critical point again, and surpass the ultimate limit of the heavenly palace. We can totally roam the vast universe freely. So you want to settle this once and for all. Zi Shiqing persuaded seriously. But, this kind of thing cannot really be settled once and for all. Since 1,000,000 years can corrupt this vast region to this extent, it has already formed a certain scale. Once the war ends and the crisis is resolved, it will not even take a few hundred years for the corruption to return to the current state or even worse. All efforts will be of no avail and it will be futile. This is a fixed fact and will not completely change just because of the times and heroes. Chu Yang was silent and finally sighed. He said, yes, no matter what, it cannot be settled once and for all. Everything will eventually return to the starting point, and with this starting point as the starting point, the cycle will repeat again. This is an endless cycle and also a fixed cycle, a cycle without an end. It's just that the length of each cycle is not fixed. Let's not talk about the distant future. Just talk about the end of the battle with the extraterrestrial demons. Once we leave, I'm afraid this place will be turned upside down immediately. Tai Budian smiled slightly, but her smile was somewhat cold. This is foreseeable. We, these brothers, will not be attached to the position of Heavenly Emperor at all, and will leave as we wish. But in the eyes of others, the vacancy left after we leave is a big piece of fat meat, and that is something that they will fight for even if they break their heads. We don't care about the position of Heavenly Emperor, but others care too much about it and care too much about it. It's not just us, the East Emperor and the Demon Empress also have the intention of retiring. When the time comes, the 10 great heavens will have no celestial emperors to lead them at almost the same time. Perhaps the East Royal Heaven and the Demon Emperor Heaven will have successors, and there will be no problem for the time being, but what about the other heavens? For example, Gu Duxing's Great Western Heaven, Dong Wuxiang's Extreme Heaven, Ao Shiyun's Green Heaven, Xia Danqiong's Black Cloud Heaven. Tai Budian sneered. Not only do we brothers not want to continue, we don't even leave our successors behind for this world. Once there is no master in the imperial palace, one can imagine the chaos that will ensue. Chu Yang was silent for a moment. Then he said, that's right, we can't do anything about those things anymore. You also said that this is the starting point, and it is, but it definitely won't be the end. There are talents in every generation, and each of them will lead the world for tens of thousands of years. Tai Budian pursed her lips. Minister Chu, please understand one thing. In this world, you are not the only one who worries about the country and the people. Chapter 2670. Chu Yang said solemnly, Your Majesty is right. I know my mistake. Tonight, I will make a special apology to Your Majesty. I will open my heart and be honest with Your Majesty. I will do my best and do my best. Wu Qianqian snorted and turned her head away, her face red. Chu Yang's serious expression changed and he said with a cheeky smile, Does the Queen want to do the same? Opening your heart and being honest with each other is great. Wu Qianqian snorted again. Her pretty face turned even redder, but she didn't refute him, which made a certain minister overjoyed. Tai Buqian's face turned red. She said angrily, I'm talking about serious matters with you. Chu Yang's strange face turned serious again. He said in a low voice, I'm also talking about serious matters with Your Majesty. There's nothing more serious than this in this world. Tai Budian was embarrassed and anxious. She couldn't say anything for a moment. What else could you say to such a shameless scoundrel? Mo Qinggu blinked and said, Opening your heart and being honest with each other? That's great. Chu Yang, could it be that you've never been honest with Sister Butian before? You're too much. Zi Shiqing, Tai Budian and Wu Qianqian spat out a mouthful of tea at the same time. Then they all coughed. Cough cough. Cough cough cough. Mo Qingwu's hair was fluffy. Her head and face were covered in tea. She was in a sorry state. She said angrily, What's wrong with all of you? Is this sentence so shocking? It was a three-way siege. Not only was it impossible to guard against and caught them off guard, the most important thing was that the attack was too tight. Tai Budian laughed as she coughed. You're so happy talking. Then I'll let Chu Yang be honest with you tonight. Mo Qingwu wrinkled her nose and wiped her face. We've always been honest with each other. It's always been like this. As she said that, she jumped. She hugged Chu Yang's arm and said, Big brother Chu Yang, don't you think so? Chu Yang felt his arm suddenly sink into a soft and fragrant land. He couldn't help but be intoxicated. He said absent-mindedly, Yes. That's not right. We haven't, right? He thought to himself, this little girl is developing really quickly. She's already so big. She's not inferior to Chen Chen at all. Almost subconsciously he rubbed his elbow back and forth. Mo Qingwu's entire body trembled. She blushed and hurriedly let go of his hand. She scolded, Brother Chu Yang is really a big hooligan. You actually want to take advantage of me? I don't want to be honest with you and confide in you. The three women shot him disdainful gazes. Chu Yang said complacently and shamelessly, playing hooligan with my own wife. That was what a real man should do. If a man didn't treat his wife like a hooligan. If he's not physically ill, then he's mentally ill. The four women pouted at the same time, snorted, and turned to leave. Walking together, it was a beautiful scene. In the past few days in the elf forest, the cultivation of the four girls had soared. He didn't know why, but ever since he entered the elven forest, the cultivation of the four women soared rapidly, as if it couldn't be stopped. This point, whether it was Chu Yang or the four of them themselves, they were all extremely surprised. They didn't understand what was going on at all. Even if the vitality here was abnormally dense, it shouldn't have been able to achieve such an effect. One must know that the vitality in the tribulation space was even denser and purer than here, but the four women didn't grow as fast as in the elf forest when they stayed there. Regarding this point, Chu Yang only vaguely guessed one thing. This abnormal growth of cultivation was most likely related to the four rays of light that the elven empress left on the four women. Although it was just pure vitality of the universe, it was the purest and most original life aura that belonged to the fairies. The four rays of light were equivalent to adding the characteristics of the elven physique to the four women's physiques. Moreover, it was the aura of the elven royal family. In addition, Chu Yang had the elven emperor seal on him. Another point was that it was the first time the four women came to a place like the elf forest. Therefore, the growth rate of the four women was a little terrifying. However, as time passed and they slowly got used to it, this growth rate would gradually slow down and even return to normal. However, looking at the trend in front of them, this growth rate wouldn't slow down for a certain period of time. In just 7 days, Mo Qingwu and Zi Sheqing had grown to the peak of the saint level and even broke through the limit barrier in one go. Then, just like Chu Yang a few months ago, they took that final step. The moment they took that step, they immediately felt that there seemed to be an endless sky and a vast starry sky in front of them. That feeling was so real yet so intoxicating. At the moment when the two of them broke through, Chu Yang flew into the sky and kept all the lightning that came along with the two women's breakthrough into the tribulation space. Otherwise, if these lightning tribulations were allowed to fall, the elf forest that Chu Yang had just saved would be completely destroyed by the lightning in an instant. When the tribulation clouds passed and Chu Yang landed, he saw that Mo Qingwu and Zi Sheqing were overjoyed. Do you feel it? Chu Yang smiled and asked a very meaningful question. I feel it, I feel it. The two girls understood tacitly when they heard Chu Yang's words. They clearly understood what Chu Yang was asking. Beyond the limit of the heavenly imperial court, there was a brand new path under their feet. And a brand new journey, although full of mysteries and unpredictability, was also full of attraction and yearning. Right now he was just looking at it, but he already couldn't wait to step onto this new path. Chu Yang smiled. This is the path that a real, strong person should take. In the vast universe, from ancient times till now, there are only a few people who can take that path. Like the saints, those who use their clones to extend their life, and those who use evil techniques like the Thousand Saints' true spirit to increase their own power are all on the wrong path. They will never be able to experience the realm of a real strong person. Mo Qingwu and Zi Sheqing nodded heavily. Although Tai Budian and Wu Chanchan's cultivation was not as good as Zi Sheqing's and Mo Qingwu's, and they couldn't understand Chu Yang's logic for the time being, their improvement was still obvious during this period of time, and the improvement was extremely huge. The two women's cultivation rose like bamboo shoots after the rain, as if it was soaring. Their cultivation rose from the peak of the beginner saint level to the peak of the advanced saint level. They were only a step away from breaking through to the peak of the saint level. Such an exaggerated improvement made Tai Budian and Wu Qianqian almost suspect that they were dreaming. Such an exaggerated improvement, and in just a few days' time, was even more than Chu Yang's improvement. Chu Yang could only smile at this. Although he was also surprised by the two women's improvement speed, he could also understand the reason. During this period of time, ever since Tai Budian and Wu Qianqian's bodies had enough endurance, they would drink a super heavy pill mixed with a big bowl of heavenly Holy Spirit spring water every day. After arriving at the fairy forest, Chu Yang accidentally discovered that this combination actually had such an amazing effect. From the first day he started to increase the dosage. He directly consumed 2 super heavy pills, plus 2 divine medicine essences condensed from the medicine spirits. In addition, he also mixed the power of destiny and the power of faith in the fairy forest, increasing the two women's cultivation almost limitlessly. Moreover, every day Chu Yang would use his own pure cultivation to help the two women straighten out their meridians. With such external support, it would be strange if the two women didn't improve quickly. Although the two women's improvement was still ridiculously fast, there was still a path to follow. It was just that at this stage Chu Yang actually still felt that it was too slow. It wasn't that Chu Yang didn't know what was good for him, but what he was most worried about now was, when the day came that they could leave this world, would Wu Qianqian and Tai Budian be left behind because of their insufficient cultivation? Therefore, in the recent 1 year, he almost spared no expense in throwing resources at the two women. At the same time, the women of his other brothers also received such treatment, especially Ao Shiyun, Xia Danqiong, Ji Mo's Albua and the other women. Although they were in different worlds, Chu Yang gave them the same amount of resources. In fact, because they weren't by his side, the elixirs and medicines they received were even more than what Tai Budian and Wu Qianqian received. I can laugh proudly in the sky, and I have women and brothers by my side. However, my brothers need beauties as well. I can't let them stand alone in the void with me. I'll try my best to do what I can do. This was Chu Yang's persistence, his persistence all along. This night, Zi Sheqing had nothing to do, and her cultivation had increased greatly. On a whim, she went to watch the fairy race train. As the woman of the fairy emperor, she was also the fairy queen. No matter where she was, the fairy race would of course give her the highest treatment. Zi Sheqing had always been someone who couldn't stay idle, especially when the upcoming battle was related to the recovery of the purple cloud heavens. The foundation that her father had built with his life was also a place that he had defended with his life. Zi Sheqing couldn't ignore it. On the surface she was like the others, going with the flow and treating it calmly. But in fact, everyone knew that Zi Sheqing was already burning with anxiety. She couldn't wait to go to the purple cloud heavens, quell the heavenly demons and recover the purple cloud heavens. The moonlight was hazy. Under such favorable conditions, Tai Budian and Wu Qianqian naturally made the best use of their time to cultivate. The two women also knew where their weakness was, so during this period cultivation had almost become their entire life. Chu Yang walked into the room and saw that Tai Budian and Wu Qianqian were in a meditative state. They didn't notice his arrival at all. And at such a time no one should disturb them. Chapter 2671. Minister Chu could only rub his nose and leave. Although he felt that his desires were not satisfied and he was almost about to explode from holding it in, he could not be disturbed at such a crucial moment. He walked out of the room discontentedly and checked the new news that Tianji's assistant had received. It was just that this small piece of news did not have anything worth paying attention to, and he instantly felt bored to death. As the saying goes, when one is well fed, one will be lustful. This was the situation in front of Minister Chu's eyes. During this period of time, he had been running all over the place, from the black cloud sky to the eastern royal sky, from the eastern royal sky to the purple cloud sky, from the purple cloud sky to the level heavens continent, and from the level heavens continent to the extreme heaven. Then he rushed from extreme heaven to western sky to rescue Gu Duxing from his dangerous situation. From western sky he rushed back to Demon Emperor sky and finally from Demon Emperor sky to Elf Forest. Moreover, this journey was not just a simple journey. Almost every moment, it was accompanied by a life and death battle, a series of bloody battles. The opponents he encountered were each stronger than the previous. In this kind of rhythm, Chu Yang's spirit was in a state of high tension almost every moment. Even if he was occasionally idle, he was also considering and analyzing the situation of each of his brothers, what stage they were at today, and what stage they would be at tomorrow. His mind was filled with a myriad of affairs every single moment, with a myriad of thoughts running through his mind. Where would he have the time to think about anything else? Even if he had the will and the power, he absolutely did not have any time. Now that he had come to Elf Forest, everything seemed to have ended. All of a sudden he felt relaxed. From extreme tension, it suddenly changed to extreme relaxation. From being so busy that he didn't even have time to fart, it became almost completely idle now. This kind of relaxation made Chu Yang relaxed and happy at the same time. But he also felt that a certain place was ready to move. That was a kind of impulse that belonged to youth. It was like a wildfire that could not be suppressed and could not be controlled. Yet at this moment, the beauties around him were all busy practicing martial arts and training soldiers. They were all busy. This situation made Minister Chu really want to cry. Women, do you really want to choke me to death? You didn't even consider what to do if that thing really explodes. You will regret it to death. As he strolled out, all the elves he saw along the way saluted him respectfully. Chu Yang smiled as he passed by. Many female elves had graceful figures. Seeing this handsome new elf emperor, they all blushed and saluted. After saluting, they shyly ran away. Her long hair fluttered in the wind. Her figure was graceful. Then she gazed at His Majesty the Elf Emperor from afar. Her expression and mood were too obvious. If you want to do something, I won't refuse. I won't even give in half-heartedly. I'm willing, very willing. It was fine if there were only one or two people with similar emotions. However, there were tens of thousands of elves who felt the same way. Hundreds of thousands, millions. As far as the eye could see, it was all over the place. Some of them even deliberately swayed in front of Chu Yang. Moreover, all of them had graceful figures and were as beautiful as flowers. Every single one of them looked as if they would allow him to do whatever he wanted. Chu Yang increasingly felt that he was about to transform into a wolf. He couldn't restrain himself any longer. I'm going to explode. Minister Chu groaned in pain. Finally, he managed to grab hold of a passing elf. That female elf was startled by Chu Yang's action. Then she blushed and looked bewildered. Oh, His Majesty the Elf Emperor stopped me. Could it be that he has taken a fancy to me? If His Majesty wants me to serve him in bed, what should I do? Should I just comply? Or should I pretend to refuse and then comply? Or should I strictly refuse to show my chastity and then be forced to comply? But what if His Majesty gets angry and doesn't force me? What should I do then? Wouldn't that be self-defeating? What should I choose? This female elf's body trembled. Thousands of thoughts had already passed through her mind. However, she stood there motionless. She lowered her head and didn't seem to resist. I really don't understand what His Majesty likes about her. Her breasts aren't as big as mine, her waist isn't as thin as mine, and her butt isn't as perky as mine. Only her face is a little purer. I'll look purer if I put on makeup. If I knew His Majesty liked her, why didn't I put on makeup just now? It's too late for regrets. I'll look purer if I put on makeup. Too late. Chu Yang didn't know that this moment would cause so many psychological fluctuations. He only asked anxiously, have you seen Miss Emo Qingwu? Miss Emo? This female elf was still in a dilemma. She was startled when she heard this. What Miss Emo? She didn't come back to her senses for a long time. So His Majesty didn't mean it that way. She felt lost and aggrieved. She bit her lips and was about to cry. Haven't seen her? Forget it. Chu Yang was a little disappointed. I've seen her before. Miss Emo is practicing in the purple bamboo forest in the north. Do you need me to take you there? Beside him, a female elf hurriedly reported with a self-recommending attitude. Oh, thank you. There's no need to trouble yourself. Chu Yang nodded and smiled. Then he disappeared in a flash. Only this female elf who was stopped by him was left in the same place, disappointed and frustrated. After a long time she bit her lips and thought, even if you really use force I won't submit to you. Even if you take my body you can't take my heart. I have a fiancé. She stomped her feet and flew away. Purple bamboo forest? It turns out that there's actually such a purple bamboo forest in this elf forest. Chu Yang flew against the wind. No matter if it was the previous life or the current life, Mo Qingwu had a fanatical and almost paranoid love for the purple bamboo forest. No matter when, as long as she saw the purple bamboo forest, even if the situation was urgent, she would still go in and sit for a while. Even if time was tight, she would still linger for a while. This kind of paranoid love made Chu Yang feel helpless sometimes. It was just that. There was one thing that made Chu Yang feel very strange. Although Mo Qingwu loved the purple bamboo forest, the clothes on her body, but it was never purple. Only a few times did she wear white. The rest of the time she was always dressed in red. This made Chu Yang feel very puzzled. Since he had nothing to do today, Yang decided to solve this question that had been lingering in his mind for a long time. The moment he saw the purple bamboo forest with his own eyes, Yang couldn't help but feel a little touched. He saw a large purple bamboo forest in a place surrounded by lush greenery. Slim and graceful, it seemed to be boundless. He couldn't see the end of it. A gentle breeze blew. The purple bamboo swayed. Yang slowed down his pace and dismissed all the nearby elves. Then he walked into the purple bamboo forest quietly. In the center there seemed to be an empty space. A smile appeared at the corner of Yang's mouth. This time and I had power. Unlike before, she didn't clear out a small area. Instead, she used her power to move the purple bamboo to the surroundings. Only then did she clear out an empty space. Looking at the surroundings again, sure enough, they were densely packed next to each other. It was obviously much denser than other places. Obviously, the reality matched Yang's guess very well. In a place where purple bamboo swayed. She was dressed in red and was currently dancing gracefully inside. The dancer was Wu. Now she was using her unique method to practice the heavenly dance. Without any power, this heavenly dance directly became the purest dance. It was beautiful, as if all the beautiful charm in the world had been poured into it. In the purple bamboo forest, the red dress was like blood. Yang stood there quietly and looked at her in a daze. A graceful voice rang out. People say that a daughter is Wu. People say that Wu's life is bitter. How many years have passed in the universe? Who hasn't been bitter in the mortal world? A daughter's life is Wu. How can I not dance because I'm afraid of hardship? It's rare to have a lover in my life. I dance for him with heartache. In this life I dance for you. Even if this life is bitter, I dance for you. If I say it's worth it, it's not bitter. This was Wu singing softly. Yang listened to this song in a daze. For a moment he couldn't help but be mesmerized. Wu was singing. Her voice was exceptionally soft, as if it would dissipate with the wind in the next moment. Every sentence was very straightforward. Obviously, she had thought of it on the spot and didn't add any fancy words to it. Yang listened quietly. Perhaps only he could truly understand the true meaning of this song that Wu was singing. Everyone said that a woman shouldn't be rash in her life and shouldn't give easily. Once she gave easily, it could be a lifetime of bitterness. But in the mortal world, regardless of whether it was a man or a woman who didn't suffer. Could it be that just because they were afraid of bitterness, they didn't speak of giving their whole life? It's rare to have a lover. Since I've met my lover, then even if it's heartache, I still have to dance for him. Perhaps in your eyes, I'm very bitter. But as long as I think I'm worth it, no matter how bitter it is, it's not bitter. It's rare to have a lover in my life. Dancing for him with heartache. If I say it's worth it, it's not bitter. Wu's red dress fluttered as she sang softly. Her voice was full of tenderness. It was a soft and ethereal voice, but it was full of stubbornness and determination without regrets. As Yang watched, he couldn't help but feel a lump in his throat. Finally he exhaled softly. It was just this exhalation, but it interrupted this devastatingly beautiful dance. Heavenly spirit voice. Who's over there? Wu suddenly realized that there was someone else. She immediately stopped dancing and asked aloud. But before she could finish speaking, Yang had already embraced her in his arms. With a somewhat trembling voice he called out. Jingwu. Wu immediately relaxed. She said in surprise, Brother Yang, it's you? Just as she opened her mouth, she felt Yang's face suddenly magnify in front of her. Then her vision turned dark. Her lips were gently kissed by Yang. She let out an "oh" sound from her throat and couldn't make any more sound. She only felt her heart beating wildly. Yang kissed the beauty in his arms carefully and tenderly. He felt his heart was infinitely tender and touched. Through the night, till now. First 2 chapters, I haven't edited the rest. I can't take it anymore, I'm going to sleep first. I'll update in the afternoon. Chapter 2672. Yang hugged Wu tightly. It seemed as if he wanted to melt this delicate and soft body into his own. His heart was full of love. Although he had a beauty in his arms and was full of soft fragrance, the desire that surged in his chest just now had long disappeared without a trace. His heart was filled with a kind of deep affection that flowed in his heart. He was deeply moved. Hugging his lover, his heart was full of cherishment. Yang kissed Wu tenderly, the two of them hugging each other tightly. At this moment, Wu was clearly a little confused. She really didn't understand what was going on with Yang today. However, she could clearly feel the deep love that Yang had for her in his heart. Moreover, she could also feel the extreme bitterness and regret in his heart. Since her lover's heart was like this, everything else was no longer important. So she lay in Chu Yang's arms obediently, not moving at all. She let Chu Yang hug her and didn't deliberately break this loving embrace. Time passed quietly. After a long time, Emo Qingwu raised her head slightly. Her starry eyes were intoxicated as she stared at Chu Yang's eyes in a daze. She said softly, "Chu Yang, take me." The beautiful woman's words were true. Chu Yang's body shook unconsciously. At this moment he was actually stunned. For a moment, his emotions were like the tide, surging up and down, and it was difficult to stop. Chu Yang clearly remembered that in his previous life, on the night of his and Emo Qingwu's engagement night, it was Emo Qingwu who said this sentence. "Chu Yang, take me." That was also in a purple bamboo forest, and it was also a similar environment, and it was also a love like this. But it was only now that Chu Yang truly understood what it meant when a girl could say this to him. What it meant? It meant that in this life of hers, she would be with you. It meant that in this life she would be with you. No matter if it was sweet or bitter. No matter if it was wind and rain or thorns, no matter how bumpy the road ahead was, in this life of hers. She would only dance for you. All the prosperity would leave her because it was no longer important. Because in her world the only important thing left was you. This also meant that from now on there would be no one left. In addition to being a man, you were also a husband. He had the responsibility and obligation to make his woman happy. He shouldered the sky that she should have shouldered. Then he had to do it. He wanted his woman to live a more colorful and happy life after entrusting her life to him. Only then would he be worthy of the words man and husband. "I will take you, but not now," Chu Yang said softly but resolutely, "but I will take you with me. Wait until I announce to the world that I am officially taking you as my wives. On the night of our wedding night, you will belong to me completely. Henceforth take me as your husband, dance for me, henceforth. I will bear all the hardships for you." Chu Yang said seriously, "Qingwu, I'm really sorry that I can't give you the only one in this life. This is my apology to all four of you." Chu Yang felt as if his heart had suddenly started to hurt at this moment. It started to hurt without any warning. This sense of guilt would arise when facing each of his women and would not go away for a long time. Speaking of a responsible man, he obviously couldn't be counted as one. At least he wasn't the one who did the best. A pair for life. This was the most beautiful dream of many young girls, to accompany each other and grow old together. But he would never be able to give them this. Emo Qingwu said softly, "I understand. We all understand the guilt in your heart. So, we have also discussed this many times in private. This is the way of the world. Our strength still can't go against the way of the world after all. So, what we can do is to let the four of us be as good as one." Emo Qingwu smiled with tears in her eyes. "Jiang, our lives in the future will most likely be eternal. If there are really only the two of us, it will also be a little lonely. What do you think?" Chu Yang hugged Emo Qingwu tightly. How could he not know that Emo Qingwu's purpose in saying these words was to comfort him? But he actually had nothing to say at this moment. Chu Yang took a deep breath and suddenly took out the deputy hand of Heavenly Secrets. He sent a message to Emo Tianji. "Heavenly Secrets, I'm getting married." Emo Qingwu clearly saw Chu Yang's actions. Suddenly her eyes brimmed with tears. She covered her mouth with her hand and tried her best to control herself. She didn't let herself cry out loud and let her tears flow out. That kind of immense happiness suddenly swept through her body and mind like a tidal wave. "Am I finally going to become his little wife?" Chu Yang picked up Emo Qingwu and resolutely walked back. He got someone to inform Zi Sheqing to come back at once. Then he waited quietly for Tai Budian and Wu Qianshan to wake up from their meditation. Thousands of miles away. At this moment, Mo Tianji was presiding over the overall situation of the Heavenly Secrets Intelligence Department. He was constantly sifting through the information and constantly giving out extremely precise orders. At the same time, he gave orders to increase the manpower of the Heavenly Secrets Intelligence Department to purple cloud heavens by 50 times. The next moment he suddenly received this shocking news from Chu Yang without any mental preparation. The moment Mo Tianji opened the message, he was instantly stunned. His mouth was crooked and his eyes were slanted. Then, his hand trembled and he almost dropped the Heavenly Secrets hand to the ground. When he hurriedly went to help it up, he sat on the chair crooked and looked even more embarrassed. Below, hundreds of senior leaders of the Heavenly Secrets Intelligence Department were sitting quietly in a hall. When they saw the scene in front of them, they were all stunned and dumbfounded. Some people were so shocked that they broke out in cold sweat. What kind of news, what kind of shock could make the Heavenly Emperor of Heavenly Secrets lose his composure like this? Even the news of ambushing a Saint Monarch and defeating the Holy Emperor Palace couldn't move the Heavenly Emperor of Heavenly Secrets at all. But after receiving this news, he was so shocked that he fell off the chair. The degree of shock of this news could be imagined. Everyone was guessing. If they received the same news, they would probably be scared to death on the spot, right? Fortunately, the next moment they saw Mo Tianji hurriedly stand up and shout, "Meeting adjourned." Then he got up and left as if his butt was on fire, leaving the hall full of dumbfounded and suspicious people. Alone. They whispered and were confused. Mo Tianji returned to his room as if he was flying. He opened up his divine sense shield and hurriedly started to send messages. "You're getting married? You said you're getting married? Why are you getting married all of a sudden? With who?" After a short while, Chu Yang's message came over. "Stop talking nonsense. Who do you think I'm getting married to?" Mo Tianji snorted and rolled his eyes. He sent another message. "My sister?" Chu Yang replied, "Did you take the wrong medicine today? Did you forget to take your medicine? Did you take fake medicine? Why is your brain so slow, spouting nonsense one after another? Can you not spout so much nonsense? Besides the four of them, is there anyone else?" Mo Tianji rolled his eyes again. He wanted to object. However, he knew that it was useless to object. There was nothing he could do. Mo Tianji could only pinch his nose and admit defeat when he thought about how his younger sister had been taken advantage of by someone. Chu Yang's message came again. "Hey, you have to understand the situation. Mo Tianji, I'm not discussing this with you. Your status as the parent of the girl's family is not worth much in my eyes. I'm just informing you of this news. Then you have to help me arrange the wedding. Do you understand?" Mo Tianji had just managed to catch his breath with great difficulty. However, Mo Tianji had clearly seen these words. He was so angry that he almost fainted from anger. He rolled his eyes and took a deep breath. He gritted his teeth and muttered to himself, "I'm so angry. If you dare to say another word, I will immediately pull my sister back from you. Do you think I won't dare?" Chu Yang started to threaten him. "You can try." This time Mo Tianji was completely speechless. "I'm really helpless. How did I end up with such a brother-in-law?" Just as he was thinking, Chu Yang sent another message. He seemed to be very dissatisfied. "I'm really speechless. Mo Tianji, how did I end up with such a brother-in-law?" Mo Tianji received the letter and read it. With a ping, he smashed the Heaven's secret hand onto the ground. He was so angry that his hands and feet were trembling. "Fuck. This is what I wanted to say. He actually beat me to it." After trembling for a while, he picked up the Heavenly secret hand again. Mo Tianji sent another message fiercely. "What the fuck do you want to do? Tell me. Tell me." Chu Yang seemed to be in a bad mood. He sent a message over. "What kind of attitude is this? If this is your attitude, then I won't get married. Let's just leave it at that. Anyway, we are people of the martial world. We don't care about status. I can do my sister's job." Mo Tianji's hands and feet turned cold. Which girl didn't want to have a grand wedding? To let the world witness their love? To receive everyone's blessings? This bastard Chu Yang is clearly blackmailing me. He's blatantly blackmailing me. And it was a double threat. Not only did he not hold the wedding, he also wanted to make sure that he couldn't do it. How was he trying to do Lure's job? He was obviously going to snitch on her. If Lure knew about this, oh my god, even if he didn't care about Lure's threat, Mo Tianji still didn't dare to take the risk. Mo Tianji dared to do anything. However, when it came to his own boss, this boss Chu Yang, he always felt that his hands and feet were tied. He really couldn't tell if this guy would really do something next. Speaking of which, Tai Budian and Wu Chen have been together for so long. Maybe this guy would really do it? Mo Tianji muttered in his heart. He was secretly afraid. Chapter 2673. Putting down the hand of heavenly secrets, Mo Tianji wiped his sweat. "Master. You're really my master." In the end he could only give in. That guy was too good at tormenting people. Mo Tianji could only pinch his nose and give in so that he could marry a wife. He comforted himself and said, "I'm doing this for my little sister's lifelong happiness." On the other side, Chu Yang's message came quickly. "It's the month now. Let's do it a month later. On the 10th of October, I want to hold my wedding at the Demon Emperor's Heaven Armament Pavilion. I'll leave everything else to you. I trust you the most. You'll definitely do a good job." Hearing this, Mo Tianji almost dropped the hand of heavenly secrets again. What do you mean by I can handle it? I can definitely do it well? Am I the one getting married or are you the one getting married? You can't be shameless to this extent, right? Are shameless people really invincible in the world? However, Mo Tianji sent a few messages to Chu Yang, but Chu Yang didn't reply at all. Obviously he had completely delegated his power. Who would want such a delegated power? Indeed, shameless people are invincible in the world. It seems that all of this is my job. Mo Tianji sighed. But he was also beaming with joy. His little sister was about to get married. As he thought about it, his heart was a little sour and a little happy. Mo Tianji paced around the room twice. After deliberating for a while, he sat down and ground the ink. He thought about it again and confirmed that there was no mistake. Then he started to write. Minister Chu Yang before the battle against the extraterrestrial demons. On the 10th of October, a wedding banquet will be held at the Demon Emperor's Heaven Armament Pavilion, inviting all the heroes in the world. Firstly, everyone is present to testify for the newlyweds. Secondly, to pay respects to the minister. Thirdly, to prepare for the battle against the extraterrestrial demons. Minister Chu Yang's wedding invitation. Eastern Royal Heaven, Extreme Heaven, Black Cloud Heaven, Demon Emperor Heaven. Green Cloud Heaven, Qibei Heaven, Western Sky, Daluo Heaven, South Pole Heaven, Buddha Heaven. Celestial emperors from all directions. Heroes from all walks of life, friends, come and get drunk. At the same time, we invite the spirits of the Purple Cloud Heaven to come and watch the ceremony. Send wedding wine to the soldiers guarding the Purple Cloud Heavens today. The minister's wedding should be celebrated by the whole world. Let the world rejoice. The announcement was made in a flash. Mo Tianji threw away the brush, slammed the table and shouted, "Guards!" This sudden shout caused the headquarters of the Tianji Intelligence Department to tremble uncontrollably. Not only did this prove that Mo Tianji's cultivation had made great progress recently, but it also proved that a certain person's heart was filled with certain emotions, such as dissatisfaction, agitation, and even some apprehension. He couldn't wait any longer. Dissatisfaction and displeasure. The members of the Tianji Intelligence Department who were still waiting for news outside were shocked to hear such a loud shout. Their hearts were filled with even more fear as they rushed over, almost pissing their pants. During this period of time, everyone had been anxiously waiting for news outside. When they heard this shout, they were almost scared out of their wits and lost their courage. Spread the news throughout the Heaven Imperial Court within half a day. There must be no mistakes. Mo Tianji raised the paper vertically and let everyone see the words on it. He said word by word, strict order. Absolute order. Within half a day, I want everyone in the Heaven Imperial Court to know about this news, including the extraterrestrial demons. I guarantee that no one doesn't know about it. If anyone makes a mistake, their clan will commit suicide as an apology. With this order, everyone kept quiet out of fear. For a moment, no one dared to take the lead to speak. Even though, if anyone makes a mistake, their clan will commit suicide, everyone still heaved a sigh of relief when they saw that this news wasn't bad news. This was a joyous occasion. This was clearly a joyous occasion. Why was the great emperor so shocked just now? No one dared to delay. They all received the order at the fastest speed possible and began to spread the order. Mo Tianji paced around the room twice. He frowned and muttered, "It doesn't matter whether it's a wedding or not. The important thing is that my sister Jianghu is getting married. I wonder how the preparations at the Demon Emperor Heaven are going? Those idiots over there, will they prepare the traditional wedding customs of the human race? Will they miss anything? This is the only wedding my sister will have in her life. No matter what, we have to ensure that nothing goes wrong." After pacing around a few more times, he was finally still frustrated. The next moment he rushed out and shouted, "Lua!" Chu Lu-er was cultivating at this moment. When she heard that, she hurriedly ran out. "What's wrong? What's so urgent?" She seemed to have never seen Mo Tianji so impatient. "Let's go. We'll go to the Demon Emperor Heaven now." Mo Tianji walked hurriedly. "I've already packed everything. Let's set off now." Chu Lu-er was shocked. "Ah? What's so urgent? What's wrong? Did something big happen?" "What's wrong?" Mo Tianji sighed. "There's always someone who won't let us rest. Your big brother is getting married. I've only been back for a few days. That guy is deliberately not letting me rest. I just said that the next time we meet might be to fight the extraterrestrial demons. In the end, your big brother made me, At this point, Chulur's expression clearly turned ugly. She looked anxious and even had a hint of coldness as she looked at Mo Tianji. Her eyes were black and white. Mo Tianji was a smart person. He immediately realized that he couldn't help but speak ill of Chu Yang, and had caused Chulur to feel disgusted. So, he hurriedly changed his words and said as if he was complaining, "You say, what is your elder brother doing? He suddenly informed me of such a big matter. No matter what, I have to hurry over and prepare." Mo Tianji made a solemn vow, "Let's not talk about my relationship with you. Chu Yang is my most respected and beloved big brother. I must do my best to handle this matter properly. There can't be the slightest mishap in any case," Chulur said with a cold face. "Don't think that I can't tell just because you suddenly changed your words. My big brother is getting married. Of course it's a good thing. Do you have to be so unhappy? Besides, my big brother is marrying your sister. What are you unhappy about? What is there to complain about? I've really never seen someone like you." Mo Tianji was battered and exhausted. "I was wrong. I know I was wrong. I really know, Chulur raised her head and raised her eyebrows. She said angrily, "Why are you still standing there like a dumb bird? Hurry up and leave. My big brother's wedding is such a big thing. Why aren't you hurrying over to help? You only know how to be obedient." "Yes, yes, yes." Mo Tianji's face was full of bitterness as he hurriedly agreed. He cursed in his heart, "You were the one who grabbed me and asked me why I was delayed. Now you're the one who's angry and blaming me for walking too slowly? Sai, do I really owe your Chu clan?" The two of them didn't hesitate any longer. With a whoosh, they turned into two long rainbows. In midair, Chulur's voice sounded, "I say, your sister is really lucky to be able to marry such a good man like my big brother. She's really lucky to have a wedding in front of everyone. I'm really envious of her." Mo Tianji had an idea and said, "Why don't we use this occasion to hold our wedding together?" Chulur blushed and said angrily, "You wish." She didn't say anything else and only focused on rushing forward. Mo Tianji was delighted. Doesn't seem to be opposed to my suggestion?" This, he. The more he thought about it, the more he felt that this was feasible. If the two brothers got married on the same day, it would definitely become a good story. You married my sister, and I married your sister. The two clans would undoubtedly become even closer. Furthermore, they would hold their wedding on the same day and in the same place. This is really too fated. This is too legendary. The more Mo Tianji thought about it, the more he felt that this was too wonderful for words. He couldn't help but break into a smile. He secretly thought about how to bring this up to Chu Yang when he went and how to make him agree. Just as Mo Tianji was still thinking about it on the way, the entire Heaven Imperial Court had already started a new round of crazy tremors. The Qiongshao Imperial Throne Wedding. This explosive news was the first to reach the hands of the various heavenly emperors. Following that, it began to spread outwards at an unparalleled speed. The people of the Heavenly Secrets Intelligence Department spared no effort in spreading the news. The various heavens and earth released official news like crazy. The 10 heavens and earth were invited for the wedding. In an instant, the heavenly court was in an uproar, the pugilistic world was in an uproar, and the various major sects were in an uproar. And then, the commoners of the Heaven Imperial Court were also in an uproar. Men. Heavenly Emperor Dong Wuxiang roared as he strode out of the door in a majestic manner. His muscular chest knocked the guard leader who had hurriedly rushed over after hearing the noise and was sent flying. He felt dizzy. Seeing this, the guard standing guard at the door almost burst out laughing. But he just didn't dare to lose his composure in front of the Heavenly Emperor. He held it in until his stomach twitched. "I've never seen such a hot-tempered Heavenly Emperor. You've already called for people to come. Can't you just wait inside quietly? But you actually rushed out yourself. Luckily, our guard commander still has some cultivation. Otherwise, if he rashly bumped into you, how can we let it go? Send the order quickly. Send the Heavenly Emperor's decree." Before the guard leader could get up and understand what was going on, he heard Heavenly Emperor Wuxiang's voice as loud as a bell. "Heavenly Emperor Wuxiang's wedding, the entire heavens and earth will be draped in red. Hang up the lanterns for me. From today onwards, let's set off the firecrackers. Let's set it off until the 10th of next month. Announce to the world that everyone will celebrate." That guard leader, the Prime Minister of Extreme Heaven who rushed over after hearing the news, and the 7 guards as well as the various officials waiting outside the hall, were all shocked. The entire heavens and earth will be draped in red? Let's set off the firecrackers from today onwards? Let's set it off until the 10th of next month? It's going to end soon. Let's have a celebration in advance. Chapter 2674. What is this? What kind of joyous occasion is worth this? Furthermore, this is too difficult, isn't it? How much would this consume? Money is fine, but at this time it's still far from the new year. Where would there be so many firecrackers to set off? Even if we rush to make them now, it seems like we won't make it in time. Your Majesty, please reconsider. This, Minister Qiong Zhao's wedding is indeed a joyous occasion for the whole world to celebrate. But to have the entire world draped in red, how should we do it? And to set off the firecrackers from now on? I'm afraid there aren't that many firecrackers. Can we make some discrepancies? The Prime Minister mustered up his courage and asked. What he meant was, to have the entire world draped in red. That's not easy. There are so many firecrackers, where can we find them? Even the cleverest housewife can't cook without rice. Do you need me to say more about this matter? All the cities and villages, all the mountains and rivers, everything caused by the extreme heaven territory, must be draped in red. If there aren't enough firecrackers, go make them in large quantities. Dong Wuxiang was a little impatient. Such a simple matter. You can't even understand this? The Prime Minister was originally just anxious, but now that he asked for the specific answer, he was so anxious that he sat on the ground with a plop. He almost fainted. All the surrounding officials stared at the Prime Minister with hidden bitterness. Look at what kind of trouble you've caused. If you don't ask, we'll just drape in red in Merciless City. As for the other places, just let the local officials do it. We'll just have to set off as many firecrackers as we can and order people to make them. But now, with your question, the scope has expanded to include all the cities and villages in the extreme heaven territory, all the mountains and rivers. Aren't you asking for my life? Not to mention anything else. Just one question. Where can there be so much red cloth? Colored cloth. But Heavenly Emperor Wuxiang actually said that it was a simple matter? Is this matter really that simple? Your Majesty? All the officials looked at the Prime Minister with tears in their eyes. They were all praying in their hearts. Prime Minister, you've caused this trouble, so you have to shoulder it yourself. Hurry up and say something. It's important to make His Majesty retract his order. But the Prime Minister already had the heart to die. How could he still be in the mood to talk? After Dong Wuxiang finished giving instructions, he walked out excitedly. He said, I'll leave the details of this job to you guys. Alright, you must not use the troops that are in training. They would have to set out at any time to battle the Sky Fiends. Other than this military force, all other resources can be obtained by yourself. Everyone stumbled again. They wanted to cry but had no tears. The army couldn't be mobilized. Emperor Wuxiang raised his head and shouted, Later, hurry up and come out. Something big has happened. Immortality asked, What? What's the matter? Dong Wuxiang hurriedly said happily, Come, follow me quickly. Boss Chu is about to get married. Let's hurry over and join in the fun. We still have time to play there for a few days and get drunk while we're at it. 7-star guards, follow me too. You'll represent all the officials of the extreme heaven. All the military officials. One staggered and fell to the ground neatly. You made such an important arrangement without knowing the beginning or the end, and then you just left it and took your wife to play for a few days? Disturbing the bridal chamber? Join in the fun? We don't have to prepare anything else. It's all in the space ring. Boss is about to get married, we don't have to prepare any gifts. Anyway, we don't have anything. It's fine as long as we're here. When we're here, it's better than nothing. Dong Wuxiang grinned happily. Let's go now. After saying that, he pulled Immortality's hand and flew up, about to turn into a rainbow and leave. 7-star guards, follow me. I'll let you see the real world this time. Dong Wuxiang's voice rang out. The 7-star guards smiled bitterly at each other. Damn it, they had lived for more than 1,000,000 years. What kind of world had they not seen? They could only see the real world this time. It felt like they had lived for more than 1,000,000 years in the past, but they had all become bumpkins. Your Majesty, you can't just leave like this. The military officials finally regained their senses. Seeing that Emperor Wuxiang was about to disappear without a trace, they hurriedly shouted in unison. They almost shouted until their throats were hoarse. You can't just leave like this. If you leave, we will all be at a loss. Why can't you leave? I've already said that I'll leave this matter to you all. If you can't do it well, you can automatically go to the imperial prison and wait for your clan to be exterminated. Dong Wuxiang's voice came from midair. Also, I've placed the imperial jade seal on the table. Just take it and give your orders. You don't have to go through me. Do you guys know how to do something as simple as stamping? Martial Monarch Wuxiang, the Seven Stars Guards, and the Empress had already turned into rays of light and disappeared into the distance. He disappeared without a trace. All of the officials under the polar heaven were stunned. What kind of explanation was this? If he couldn't do it well, he would be sent to the imperial prison to await the execution of his entire family? This seems a little too serious. And also, the Imperial Jade Seal. The Imperial Jade Seal, the symbol of imperial power of a celestial emperor, you just casually put it on the table? Furthermore, you can use it to give orders. Was this something that could be used to give orders? Also, that's not called a stamp. Could that be called a stamp? Although it was the same step and the same thing, this was called using a stamp, alright? Furthermore, that's also not a table. That's called the Imperial Desk. Imperial Desk, Imperial Desk. The officials of the Polar Heaven Martial School wanted to cry but had no tears. But the person in question had already left. And he left in such a hurry that he was already nowhere to be seen. Want to call him back? Cough cough. Whoever is willing can go. In any case, I'm not going. Isn't that just asking for bad luck? Knowing that he was in such a hurry to leave, it'd be strange if they didn't get slapped flat. But what should they do about this matter? Everyone looked at each other. Prime Minister, you're experienced in the ways of the world. What do you think we should do about this matter? All of the officials looked at the Prime Minister. Do what you need to do. Why are all of you looking at me? Anyway, this is our mission. If we can't complete it, we can all go to hell together. The old Prime Minister climbed up from the ground and said angrily. Everyone curled their lips. Why do we have to go to hell together? Your position is the highest among us, and today's matter was obviously caused by you. If we don't look at you, who else should we look at? We do want to see Heavenly Emperor Wuxiang's downfall, but now, if we really want to see, we have to go to the Demon Emperor's sky. The old Prime Minister sighed softly and cursed under his breath. This muddle-headed ruler who doesn't do his job properly. Everyone kept quiet out of fear when they heard that. You're old and experienced. Even if His Majesty knows about it, he might not care too much. But we don't dare to scold you. Once it reaches Heavenly Emperor Wuxiang's ears, based on His Majesty's hot-headed temper, the consequences would be unimaginable. Just like what you said, we'll go to the Yellow Springs together. Sigh, for this matter, other than using His Majesty's Imperial Jade Seal, there's really no other way. But His Majesty's Imperial Jade Seal is where the extreme heaven's authority lies. How can we use it casually? This matter is truly difficult to handle. The old Prime Minister grumbled again, but in the end he still proposed a plan. But now that things have come to this point, there are no other options. I have a suggestion here. Let's see if it's feasible and give your opinions to improve it. Prime Minister, you're old and virtuous, and your wisdom surpasses the world. You must have a good plan. We're all ears to listen and listen to your brilliant ideas. Everyone cheered loudly, their flattery flooding the room. Everyone was beaming with joy as they put down the heavy stone in their hearts. The Prime Minister rolled his eyes. Of course you guys are happy. Because none of you have any responsibility at all. If something really happens, this old man will be the only one to take the blame. Humph, I can't be bothered to argue with you useless fellows. How about this, each of us will send out 3 people. A total of 3 people will be in charge of the Imperial Jade Seal. All the Imperial decrees will need the unanimous agreement of these people before the seal can be used. This way we can pass down the order fairly and ensure that nothing goes wrong. What does everyone think? The old Prime Minister said, since I'm the one who suggested it, count me in. As for the others, you guys can nominate them. He thought, you want me to take the blame alone? I've been an official for so many years and I know how to advance and retreat well. Don't tell me that I'm going to go backward and become stupid? Everyone was dumbfounded when they heard that. It was said that the older the ginger, the spicier it was. This method was indeed stable and appropriate. Everyone had nothing to say. But there were still 5 candidates. Everyone's heart trembled. They couldn't help but step back one after another, afraid that they would be nominated by others. What a joke. Was this something easy to control? It was something that could easily cost one's life. But no matter what, this matter was finally decided in this way. Mo Yuntian. Xie Danxiong leaped up and gave out orders like a cannon. Boss is getting married. This is an absolutely major event between brothers. There's no other major event that can be compared to this. Xie Danxiong laughed loudly. This day has finally arrived. Man. Pass down my order. Qiong Xiao is getting married. The whole world will celebrate. Wear red decorations. Announce to the world. Empress, please dress up. We'll set off for Demon Emperor Heaven immediately. Xia Danxiong beamed with joy. Finally, this Mo Yintian Jade Flower Great Emperor appeared to be more mature among his brothers. At least he was more mature than Zhu Wushang. However, this calmness lasted for less than half an hour. Madame Mei hadn't even finished dressing up when Xia Danxiong rushed in. Chapter 2675. Why aren't you done yet? You women, once you put on makeup, there's no end to it. You're not the main character. Xia Danxiong was impatient. Let's go, let's go. If we're late, we might miss a lot of fun things. Let's go quickly. Xia Danxiong brought a few experts, brought his wife, and instantly turned into a rainbow and left. Someone come. In the big western sky, the solitary Emperor Gu Duxing's face was full of joy. Pass down my orders. A string of orders almost similar to Dong Wushang and Xia Danxiong's came out in rapid succession. Then, this solitary emperor even came out with a murderous aura. Pass down my orders to all the famous and unknown experts of the big western sky. If they feel that they have the qualifications and are willing to go, they can all go by themselves. Also, all the big sects are not to be left out. Whoever dares not to go, directly slaughter them. That the red packets must be given in full. This order was extremely domineering and unreasonable. Who asked the solitary travel great emperor to be the new great emperor who was currently in the limelight? His words were like the law and he was simply too domineering. Confirming that the order had already been sent out, Gu Duxing, Gu Miaoling and Bu Luqing excitedly flew up. And the official who received this order didn't know whether to laugh or cry, his forehead full of black lines. Previously he said that he would gather all the experts of this side of the world, and all the big sects would all go to congratulate him. Although it was a bit overbearing in the end, it was the Sky Emperor's order, and no one dared to disobey. But this was absolutely the first time seeing a newly promoted Sky Emperor, his own brother's wedding, unexpectedly give an imperial decree to give red packets, and even specify the size of the red packets. What kind of concept was this? His Majesty the Solitary Emperor's way of doing things was truly unique. But how could he know that this was actually Gu Duxing's momentary interest, remembering the time when he got married? A group of brothers extorted from all over the three heavens for a grand occasion. Now Big Brother was getting married, Gu Duxing naturally had to return the favor, imitating the cat and drawing the tiger. Right now, I don't feel like extorting from the three heavens, that kind of small place. Directly extorting from this side of the world is good. Who let me be the Sky Emperor of this side of the world? Let's not talk about the pavilion close to the water. Who dares to refuse? Similar situations were also happening in the realms where GMO Luo Kadi Rue Badong Ao Xian, and the others were. They also gave out orders that were basically the same. Then, he excitedly and impatiently rushed towards the Demon Emperor's sky. There was still plenty of time. There was still about an hour's time left, and all of them were scrambling to be the first, fearing that they would fall behind others. So much so that, these guys had already started planning on how to make a scene in the bridal chamber and how to play pranks on others. Each of them was beaming with delight. How delightful. He was even happier than if he had gotten married himself. At this moment, Yao Huangtian became even busier. Yao Ningning took over the entire situation. Boss getting married in the Demon Emperor's heaven is simply giving face to the entire Demon Emperor's heaven. I'll make sure it's done beautifully for Boss. Yao Tai's words were spoken in a state of extreme excitement and came from the bottom of his heart. Therefore he didn't think it through at all, and even announced it in the name of the Demon Emperor Heavens. Announce it to the world. When the Demon Empress heard this, she was almost angered to death by her own son. That brat Chu Yang's wedding in the Demon Emperor's heaven is naturally something we have to do for him. Especially when the time is so tight, we definitely have to make preparations for it. Even so, we might not be able to receive so many heroes from all the different worlds on the same day. The Demon Emperor's heaven would naturally do its best to prepare, and do its best to make this wedding a beautiful one. All of this was to be expected, and there was no need to doubt it. But what did you mean by the first sentence you said, you silly girl? What did you mean by boss getting married in the Demon Emperor's heaven is simply giving face to the entire Demon Emperor's heaven? The moment she thought of this sentence, the Demon Empress was so angry that her head hurt, and she felt dizzy. You little bastard, can you be even more useless? How can you speak of it so bluntly? Where is your mother's face? Even if it's the truth, you can't say it like that. You're not giving your mother any face at all. Therefore, when a certain Grand Master arrived at the Heavenly Armament Pavilion, he came with a tragic limp, and his leg was almost broken by the Demon Empress. As for the Heavenly Armament Pavilion of the Demon Emperor's heaven, everyone was so busy that their feet didn't touch the ground. Several peak-level saints worked together and they all did their best. With the cultivation of moving mountains and seas, they directly pushed the surrounding mountains of Luohua City out in all directions, to an area of 3,000 miles. Anyway, the previous battle with the elves had made Luohua City unworthy of its name. Since it was already unworthy of its name, it didn't matter how big the change was. Therefore, the original area of Luohua City was expanded by no less than 10 times overnight, and large areas of open space appeared around it. Next, simple hotels and inns were built on these open spaces, and countless chefs were recruited from all over the Demon Emperor's heaven. But this didn't seem to be enough. No matter if it was the venue, the residence, or the place to eat, it might not be enough. The new number one person in the Heavenly Imperial Court, Minister Cheong Shao, was going to get married, and he was going to invite friends and family from all over the Heavenly Imperial Court. At that time, it would definitely be a sea of people and people would follow the crowd. No, it would be like raising one's sleeves and sweating like rain, it really couldn't be squeezed. In view of this, everyone was actively thinking of a way. If it really doesn't work, should we move the surrounding cities? Meng Wuya asked Yao Ningning. Yao Ningning was shocked. We've already made such a big area and it's still not enough? Don't be confused, it's definitely not enough. Meng Wuya grinned and said in a very confident tone. If we expand the area, this matter will have to be decided by Mother. Yao Ningning said with a sad face. If I decide on my own again, I'm afraid that my remaining leg will be broken. It's not a big deal to break a leg, but Elder Chu's wedding is imminent, and as a brother, I suddenly can't move. This is really bad luck. Meng Wuya was speechless. A few people next to him thought in their hearts, look at you, I want to break your third leg too. While they were discussing, the Demon Empress sent a message at the right time. If necessary, the surrounding cities can be moved back appropriately. When everyone heard this, they all cheered thunderously. Seeing that things were going well, the Tang clan's third young master put in more effort to run around and became the general manager. He was in charge of the overall situation. Everything had to be allocated from his hands. Therefore, the Tang clan's third young master could be said to be extremely powerful. One had to know that this was a huge and lucrative position. Even if he did some random work under the Tang clan's third young master, the most inconspicuous work, would still make a lot of money. Of all the people who were qualified to attend Minister Cheong Zhao's wedding, which one of them was stingy? This was clearly a golden path of limitless brilliance. And the most important thing was that there were risks in doing other things. But, in this matter, who dared to make trouble? Who dared to behave atrociously at Minister Cheong Zhao's wedding? Make trouble? Make trouble? Wasn't this a fucking suicide? Was he tired of living? Even the number one Saint Monarch in the past was just a dish for Minister Cheong Zhao. Even the Saint Monarch was like this, who would dare to make trouble? When the time came, there would be no need for Minister Cheong Zhao to make a move. A mouthful of saliva from everyone here would be enough to make that person swim in the sea. Those who were not good at swimming would probably drown in the sea of saliva halfway through. There was no risk in this kind of super good business. All the guests were rich and the profits were super rich. A casual tip could let a family eat for 1,000 years. Who wouldn't be envious? Therefore, no matter where the Tang clan's third young master went now, there was a group of merchants nodding and bowing in front of him, infinitely humble. Therefore, the Tang clan's third young master was simply in high spirits and complacent for the past few days. He had the feeling of a superior who controlled the world like, with the wedding in hand, I have the world. No matter where he went, he had a protruding belly. His figure, which was as thin as a bamboo pole, actually bulged out in an S shape. He was really curvy in front and behind, and his figure was slender. The elf race had long sent people to help. This was the elf emperor's wedding ceremony. How could the elf race not do it personally? They would do their best to help. Everything was done in the best and cleanest way. All the elves were extremely enthusiastic. The unique arrogance of the elf race had completely disappeared at this moment. Who would dare to make trouble at this moment and ruin the elf emperor's wedding? That person would become the eternal sinner of the elf race. This was what the various old ancestors had repeatedly reminded him before he came here. Under the collective shock of the entire imperial court, the remaining eastern royal heavens was no exception. After Dong Huang Shui Leihan received this news, he immediately ordered the entire imperial court to hold a grand celebration. After that, Dong Huang Shui Leihan was still very calm. He calmly arranged everything, neither hurried nor slow. Brother Mo, you don't have to go to the wedding ceremony this time, right? Dong Huang saw that Mo Qingqing was actually packing her luggage, so he sincerely said, "The journey to the Demon Emperor Heaven is long, and you must be very tired. That Chuyang and I are close friends, so I have to go. However, he's just a junior to Brother Mo. Brother Mo, why do you have to give him face and go personally? Besides, the training of the soldiers in the Eastern Royal Heavens is at a crucial point. I still need Deputy Commander to take care of it. It's not very good for both of us to go, right?" Mo Qingqing snorted, rolled her eyes and said, "Do you think I don't know your dirty thoughts? I'm not going? Then you can go and get the moon first?" Dong Huang was furious. "What moon first? I've already gotten it, okay?" Mo Qingqing continued to roll her eyes. "As long as the two of you haven't confirmed your relationship in front of others, I still have a chance. Even if you have, I can still cause trouble." Shui Leihan was so angry that his hair stood up. "Mo Qingqing, don't forget your current identity. You're now the Deputy Commander of the Eastern Royal Heavens. I have the right to order you to stay here and guard." Mo Qingqing didn't think much of it. She sneered. "What Deputy Commander? Do I need your orders? It's fine that I listened to you on the battlefield. But now you dare to shout at me like this. Do you believe that I'll resign immediately?" "Deputy Commander, what Deputy Commander?" Chapter 2676. Shui Leihan was dumbfounded. He was so angry that even his fingers were trembling. "You actually made things difficult for me on such a joyous occasion. You. Fine, I'll remember you. I'll remember you, Mo Qingqing. You're indeed a real man." Shui Leihan gritted his teeth and nodded fiercely. "You're indeed a good friend. A good brother. A real man. You've got guts." Mo Qingqing pointed. "Of course I've got guts. You don't have to say that. That's my son." "You're awesome." Shui Leihan nodded fiercely. "You're awesome." Then he slammed the door and left. Then Dong Huang disappeared. No one knew where he went. Mo Qingqing was still waiting for Shui Leihan to quarrel with her. But after waiting for a long time, she still couldn't find him. She couldn't help but worry. "Did he go crazy because of me?" Mo Qingqing asked Xueqi worriedly. "Why did he go missing at such an important time?" Xueqi looked at Mo Qingqing with some disdain. She said weakly, "I absolutely believe that my brother can definitely make you go crazy. But if you make him go crazy, it seems that you're not good enough. There's still a long way to go." Mo Qingqing was speechless. "I say let's go," Xueqi said. "The journey is slow. Let's just take it as a sightseeing tour. When we reach the Demon Emperor Heaven, we'll be able to make it in time for the wedding." Mo Qingqing was a little hesitant. Although she said it stubbornly, she still couldn't let go of her sense of responsibility. "Your brother and I are really not here." Xueqi, who was addicted to watching the show, saw that this guy actually wanted to back out. How could she be happy? There was no point in always fighting with each other. The three parties were about to meet. The big show was right in front of them. "Mo Qingqing, it's impossible for you to back out," she said. "Before you came, Lan Tianxiao had been in charge of the army for hundreds of thousands of years. Is there chaos?" Yes. You're right." Mo Qingqing was enlightened. "I'll go see Xena and find out about her recent situation." Xueqi secretly pursed her lips. The greatest joy in life was watching two celestial emperors fight for a woman's affection. This was really much more satisfying than watching 10 famous dramas. As for Mo Qingqing, "I'm sorry, but you can only play a supporting role with my big brother. In any case, you're definitely not the main character." Of course, there were people who were happy in this world, which meant that there were people who were very sad. It was good that he didn't know what to do. This kind of phenomenon gathered on several heavenly emperors. Daluo Heaven, Everlasting Celestial Emperor Zi Wuji. Qi Bei Heaven, Flaming Sun Celestial Emperor Longing Huan. The South Pole, the Ice and Snow Celestial Emperor Meng Jinghui. The Heavenly Emperor of the Stupa Heaven, Mo Huichen. These 4 heavenly emperors could be said to be extremely conflicted. If they were to follow the scale of other worlds, we don't have that kind of brotherly relationship with Minister Qiongxiao. Gu Du Xing, Dong Wushang, and the others didn't have any qualms about being extravagant. This didn't matter. They were brothers after all. He was afraid that it wouldn't make sense. The most important point was that Longing Huan and Meng Jinghui had fought a few battles with Chu Yang's brothers before. Their positions were even more awkward. Now that they were stronger than them, they naturally did not want to start another battle. They might not be afraid of tribulations. But on the surface he was still a celestial emperor and had his own dignity. If he also wanted to imitate like that, he was afraid that he would never be able to take off the hat of a bootlicker. What's their relationship with you? Why are you so active? You're afraid of their strength and want to curry favor with them, right? The most uncomfortable one was Longing Huan, the Flaming Sun Heavenly Emperor. The leader of the Crimson North Heavenly Weapon Pavilion was Tan Tan. He was Minister Qiong Zhao's junior brother, the only junior brother. However, this was something that everyone in the world knew about. But it was this Tan Tan who had once suffered under Longing Huan's hands. And when Tan Tan's cultivation increased greatly, when he could finally gain the upper hand, he just ran over and beat up Longing Huan, the Flaming Sun Heavenly Emperor. After that, he didn't want anything. He didn't want the throne and didn't want to be Heavenly Emperor. He just patted his butt and took his wife to Purple Cloud Heavens to kill heavenly demons. This situation made Longing Huan even more depressed. In the eyes of everyone in the world, it was Longing Huan who forced Tan Tan to leave. This is really He Tian's injustice. At this moment, Longing Huan really wanted to cry but had no tears. At that time, I had already proposed that the winner would be the king. I was also prepared to lose. But he won and just patted his butt and left. Longing Huan paced back and forth gloomily. He left like a hoodlum, but I took the blame for this. You don't care about the Heavenly Emperor's position, but I've had enough. Longing Huan kicked the dragon chair for a long time in annoyance. For so many years I had to listen to Master Yun. After all this time, this guy turned out to be 1,000 saints true demon. I don't have the face to continue doing this anymore. Finally, someone came to take over, but he patted his butt and left when he could. If he left, I would leave too. But what about Qibei Tian? I can't just abandon it. After all, it's the foundation that I have painstakingly guarded. If someone took over, I would be happy, but if I let it wither, I can't bear it. Now, my reputation has also been tarnished. I've long been placed on Master Yun's side. That's not all. I'm still a celestial emperor. At most, I'll just close Qibei Heaven and stop communicating with other worlds. But at this time, that stupid ugly bastard senior marshal brother has actually become the Jade Sky Minister of the entire Heaven Palace. This really makes me feel very uncomfortable. The pitiful Heavenly Emperor Yen Yang paced back and forth, helpless. Not going? Not taking action? That's even more unacceptable. It was said that those guys were all unreasonable. If they saw that he didn't give face to them, he was afraid that the next day after the wedding, they would have collectively gone to Qibei Tian to settle the score. Solitary Heavenly Emperor. Heavenly Emperor Tianji. Heavenly Emperor Qianghua. Heavenly Emperor Xieyun. Heavenly Emperor Wushang. Oh, Longing Huan groaned in pain. These guys are all people who can go against Saint Monarchs. How can I withstand them? They don't have to all come. If one or two come, I'll just wait for death. After being depressed for a long time, he finally made a decision. The capital city will be decorated in red. Then, the 7-star guards will follow me to Demon Emperor Heaven to congratulate. Longing Huan sighed sullenly. He was afraid that he could only lose face like this one more time. Otherwise, after the chaos caused by Master Yun, the Heaven Imperial Court would stir up chaos between the worlds again. That was absolutely unacceptable. If they really fought, his title of Myriad Saints True Spirit would definitely not be able to escape. It was too late to clear his name now, so how could he stir up waves again? If they really fought, it would be directly smearing yellow mud on his butt. To be honest, Longing Huan was not afraid of fighting, not at all. As for death, he was even more afraid. However, what he was afraid of was that his million years of reputation as the Celestial Emperor, once he fought, would only leave behind a stain that could never be washed away for eternity. This result was something that Longing Huan could not tolerate no matter what. The rest of you focus on training the soldiers. Then listen to my orders. As long as I give the order, immediately set off for Purple Cloud Heaven to fight the Heaven Demons. Longing Huan instructed. Yes. Also, if I go to Demon Emperor Heaven this time, even if I suffer any grievances or even get killed, Qibei Tian and the rest are not allowed to take revenge. When the others set off to fight the Heaven Demons, you guys can also go. Longing Huan said indifferently. Your Majesty. All the military officials cried out. There's no need to say any more. Back then Zihao and I had a personal grudge, and I was indeed on Master Yun's side. I was also from the Yun clan's camp. Not sending out troops and not rescuing is a matter of course. Now, this matter concerns the survival of the Heaven Imperial Court. I can't let my emotions affect my decisions. My honor and my life are no longer important. After Longing Huan finished speaking, he brought the 7-star guards and soared into the sky. Only Qi Bei Tian and his subordinates were left, sighing endlessly. Our heavenly emperor His Majesty is still a man of iron. Even if he had done something wrong, our loyalty to him was not in vain. Yes, I only hope that the other heavenly emperors won't go too far in this trip to Demon Emperor Heaven. Everyone discussed and dispersed. Icy Snow Heavenly Emperor Meng Jinghui and Buddha Heavenly Emperor Mo Huichen. These two people, after a brief mental struggle, announced the following decision. The entire heaven and earth will be draped in red. The emperor will personally go and congratulate. Such an ending did not make anyone feel too surprised. Instead, in the southernmost part of the Heaven Imperial Court, the Daluo Heaven, where news was the most isolated, there was an accident. Daluo Heaven's Wuji Celestial Emperor, Zi Wuji, expressed a rare unwillingness to personally congratulate. You want to be Minister Qiongxiao? This is not a problem. Everyone agrees, I'll give it to you. It's just a title. Back then, only my lord was like that, and today Minister Qiongxiao is like that. But, you're about to get married, must we personally go? What kind of person do you take me for? A subordinate that you can summon at your beck and call? In this regard, Zi Wuji was very angry, undisguised anger. No one below dared to say a word. The sentence was really hard to say. In fact, everyone was thinking, when did he say that you have to go? He just sent you an invitation out of the most basic etiquette. In fact, in the current situation, this invitation is already giving us face. It doesn't seem to be forcing us. But this sentence in everyone's heart, His Majesty the Heavenly Emperor was in a rage, so who would dare to say it out loud? His Majesty the Heavenly Emperor may not be able to provoke Minister Qiongxiao. In fact, he may not even be able to provoke those Heavenly Emperor brothers of Minister Qiongxiao. But he can certainly provoke us. He can destroy us with just a word. Zi Wuji clasped his hands behind his back and said angrily, I won't go. Do whatever you want. All the officials were silent. However, at this moment, Chapter 2677. Reporting to Your Majesty. His Majesty Dong Huang has sent a private message, specifically stating that it is for Your Majesty. A guard knelt on the ground and presented the letter. Zi Wuji was a little surprised and sneered, Dong Huang isn't here to be a lobbyist, is he? You Shui Leihan are meddling too much? When did it become his turn to meddle in my affairs? With a casual wave of his hand, the letter flew into his hand with a whoosh sound. Just as he was about to open it to take a look, he saw another guard rush over, reporting to Your Majesty. What's the matter now? Zi Wuji was a little angry. Why are there so many things today? Can't you see I'm reading a letter? The guard knelt on the ground in fright and said with his head lowered, The Heavenly Secret Intelligence Department has just released the latest news, announcing the identities and origins of the 4 beauties who are about to marry Minister Qiongxiao. So, the identities of Minister Qiongxiao's wives. Zi Wuji became even more impatient. Aren't they just women? Read it. I want to see what the origins of these 4 women are. What kind of extraordinary origins do they have? In the hall, the faces of all the martial ministers remained unchanged, but their hearts were convulsing. Aren't they just women? This was truly a load of nonsense, not just in name but in reality. They had never seen a man looking for a wife or a man, had they? His Majesty the Sky Emperor's words could really make people laugh uncontrollably. Yes, Your Majesty is wise. This old minister will read it now. The Prime Minister took advantage of the situation, stepped out of the crowd and took the report from the guard. This move was a sign of respect to avoid trouble. If the identity of Minister Qiongxiao's bride was announced by an ordinary guard in public, and if the other party wanted to pursue the matter, he would not be able to escape from a great disrespect. And if that group of great emperors really wanted to find trouble, that would be an excellent reason. However, now that the Prime Minister was reading it, her identity was very different. No matter what, she was still qualified. Everyone present was a shrewd person, so they naturally understood this point. Everyone breathed a sigh of relief when they saw that the Prime Minister had calmly averted a disaster that was likely to befall them. Zi Wuji frowned as he looked at the Prime Minister. Still holding Shui Leihan's letter in his hand, he said somewhat helplessly, Prime Minister, you're just too cautious. When has our Daluotian ever been afraid of anyone? I wasn't afraid of the Holy Monarch that day and I didn't dance with him. Today I won't curry favor with that Minister Qiongxiao. Alright, you can read it. Thank you for your permission, Your Majesty. The Prime Minister heaved a sigh of relief. He thought to himself. If it weren't for the fact that I'm your father-in-law, I wouldn't have dared to stand out when you were so angry. Minister Qiongxiao is marrying 4 brides at once for this wedding. The first was Mo Qingwu. She is the younger sister of the Heavenly Emperor of Tianji, who is in charge of intelligence. This time, the news was released by Mo Tianji's Tianji Intelligence Department. So, he naturally put his younger sister Mo Qingwu first. When the Prime Minister read out this identity, he couldn't help but be shocked himself. Since ancient times, there were those who were strong, those who were wise, those who had great power, and those who were notorious. However, there had never been anyone who could make the people in power in Tiancai say the word fear. Even the former holy monarch, Master Yun, and the current minister Qiongxiao Chuyang, might not be feared by everyone. For example, Ziwuji, the limitless emperor, had never really feared these 2 people. However, this convention was broken by one person, and this person was Mo Tianji, the heavenly emperor of Tianji. Although Mo Tianji didn't have the actual territory ruled by a true great emperor, he had a broader scope of authority. Almost the entire heavenly imperial court was under his influence. Now, who in the world wasn't afraid of the heavenly emperor of Tianji? Even the Eastern Demon Empress might not be able to convince everyone in the world. However, the Celestial Mystery Emperor had lived up to his name, the heavenly emperor of Tianji. He unified all the intelligence systems in the entire heavenly imperial court and established an extremely huge underground kingdom in a short period of time. He controlled the rise and fall of the heavenly imperial court almost single-handedly. He could make clouds and rain with a flip of his hand. He was recognized as the most scheming and far-sighted person in the heavenly imperial court, the most capable of preparing for a rainy day, the most capable of stabilizing the world, and the most terrifying person. As soon as this identity was mentioned, many people in the everlasting imperial palace's main hall sucked in a breath of cold air. They only felt their hearts tremble. The limitless emperor's expression didn't change. He said, "Is that all?" "More than that." The prime minister said, Mo Qingwu, the sister of the heavenly emperor of Tianji, the solitary emperor, the evil cloud emperor, the Wuxiang emperor, and so on. Her cultivation is similar to that of the demon empress, the peak of the saint realm, and she has gone one step further. She is one of the tribulations. Cough, cough. I have to add that the solitary emperor, the heavenly emperor of Tianji, the evil cloud emperor, the Wuxiang emperor, the jade flower emperor, and so on, these people are all one of the tribulations. The military officials were still wondering what this tribulation that appeared out of nowhere was, but when they heard these words, they couldn't help but turn ashen. Oh my God, such a tribulation, isn't it too terrifying? Even this bride actually has a similar cultivation level as the demon empress. Doesn't that mean that this bride has the ability to deal with our emperor? Your majesty. You should change your fate. You still have to go when you have to go. Otherwise, if the bride comes to find trouble with you, you probably won't be able to deal with her. The limitless emperor, Ziwuji's expression didn't change. He said, "Continue." The second bride is the emperor of a country when Minister Chuyang went to the mortal world. Her name is Tai Budian. She planned strategies and ruled the world. She defeated the strong as the weak and established the hegemony of the world. Later, she followed Chuyang to the heavenly imperial court. Her current cultivation is at the peak of the saint realm. A woman was once the emperor of an empire? And she established the hegemony of the world single-handedly? And she was also at the peak of the saint realm? This achievement could be said to be shocking and terrifying. There was a burst of whispers among the officials. The people around Minister Chuyang of Qiongxiao imperial throne were indeed extraordinary and outstanding figures. Ziwuji's face sank. He said, "Continue." The third one. The third bride is called Wu Qianqian. This woman is the senior sister of Minister Chuyang. She is also the senior sister of Demon Lord Tan Tan. Her current cultivation is at the peak of the saint realm. The officials were shocked again. This bride was also a very extraordinary character. The senior sister of Minister Chuyang and the Demon Lord. Why did it feel more and more terrifying? This time, even the limitless emperor, Ziwuji, who had been calm and collected all this time, secretly twitched his heart. However, this convulsion was not because of Chuyang, the minister of Jade Clouds. It was because of that Demon Lord, Tan Tan. Originally, Tan Tan also gave himself a title of Great Emperor. But the more he heard, the more unpleasant it was to his ears. So he simply didn't use it. He still felt that Demon Lord was the most pleasing to his taste. On one hand, it was in line with his identity. On the other hand, it was also in memory of the Demon King Tanxiao. However, the Demon Lord fought Qi Beitian twice. He was famous in the world and shook the universe. Now, everyone knew about this unreasonable and lawless Demon Lord. Of course, the most eye-catching thing about this Demon Lord was that he often did some incredible things. It made people unable to predict what he would do next and what he could do. From nothing, he established a heavenly armament pavilion. But it was completely for fun. After it was broken up, he took revenge crazily. Then, his cultivation improved greatly. He officially defeated Heavenly Emperor Yen Yang. When he was about to ascend to the position of Heavenly Emperor, he gave up and went to Purple Cloud Heavens to fight heavenly demons. At present, this Demon Lord with the strength of Heavenly Emperor had killed so many people in Purple Cloud Heavens that blood flowed like a river. This was undoubtedly an extremely terrifying character. And Minister Chu Yang's cultivation was naturally higher than this Demon Lord. This was everyone's common opinion. Otherwise, it was impossible to have a senior brother and a junior brother. One was only a Demon Lord, and the other was a minister recognized by Heavenly Emperors. However, no one seemed to be afraid of Chu Yang, the Minister of Jade Clouds. Because Minister Qiong Shao might be more powerful, but Minister Qiong Shao was a reasonable person. But this Demon Lord was a completely unreasonable existence. The most unsuitable person in this world was this kind of completely unreasonable person. For this kind of person, everyone was destined to have a headache as long as they met him. No matter how they dealt with him, it would be wrong. So far, the first 3 brides each had a background. Their identities and backgrounds were so terrifying. Then the last one should be a little more ordinary, right? Since she was ranked last, her family background would definitely be slightly inferior. With the comparison of the first 3, even if the last one's background was also very outstanding, it would not show any glory. And the 4th one? For a long time, seeing that the Prime Minister did not continue to speak, Everlasting Heavenly Emperor Zi Wuji could not help but feel a little strange. He raised his eyes to look at the city and countryside and urged. But when he looked at it, he was shocked by what he saw. He saw the Prime Minister staring straight at the news. Cold sweat dripped down his forehead, and his skinny body actually began to tremble. Is the 4th one more powerful than the first 3? Is this possible? Impossible. The officials guessed one after another. They could not help but feel uneasy. No matter who it is, Prime Minister, please quickly read it out. Everlasting Heavenly Emperor Zi Wuji frowned. With his hands behind his back, he walked back to the dragon throne and sat down calmly. His face returned to calmness without any fluctuations. This attitude was undoubtedly telling everyone, no matter what happens, no matter who it is. Don't panic, don't be shocked because I'm still here. This was a very clear signal. The Prime Minister finally stopped trembling. He coughed hard twice and actually cleared his throat. Then, with an unusually loud and clear voice, that was completely not his usual voice, he read aloud, Qiong Shao Minister Chu Yang, the 4th bride, her name is Zi Xieching. Chapter 2678. When the ministers heard this, they suddenly felt a little strange. The name of this 4th bride actually had the same surname as His Majesty. This was really a bit of a coincidence. After the Prime Minister said the name, he took a deep breath and did not say the specific identity and origin of the bride. Everyone could not help but feel even more strange. They all looked up and collectively watched. Even Zi Wuji felt that the Prime Minister was really a little abnormal today. So he also looked up. At this moment, the Prime Minister read out the rest of the information in an unusually solemn voice. Zi Xieching, the 4th bride of Qiong Shao Heavenly Minister Chu Yang. She is the daughter of Zi Hao, the Heavenly Emperor of Purple Clouds, and Goddess Piaoping, Ling Piaoping. Boom. This news was like a clap of thunder. The whole hall was silent for a moment, and then it boiled with enthusiasm. Limitless Heavenly Emperor Zi Wuji, who had just sat down and had a calm expression on his face, suddenly stood up, and with a loud bang, the dragon throne behind him shattered into pieces, but he didn't seem to feel anything at this moment. He just stared fixedly at the Prime Minister in front of him, as if he wanted to get some kind of confirmation. The Prime Minister met His Majesty's gaze and nodded deeply and affirmatively. Whoosh. Zi Wuji walked over abruptly, his every step causing the entire hall to shake and tremble. He walked quickly to the Prime Minister's side, took the report and looked at it carefully again. Especially the introduction of Zi Xieching, he read it word by word and confirmed it again and again. Then, that pair of tiger-like eyes were actually filled with a watery glow. The next moment, the everlasting celestial emperor, who had never bowed his head to anyone or bowed to any force, suddenly opened his mouth and howled to the sky. Then he began to bawl. Hot tears rolled down his face. The ministers were silent. However, a few of the most senior ministers also had tears in their eyes. Suddenly, the everlasting celestial emperor suddenly stopped crying and shouted, "Chu Yang! You are really too much of a bully, too much of a bully. My big brother's daughter, my niece, the princess of two great worlds. The so-called 3 wives and 4 concubines, you actually ranked her 4th. This is different from being a concubine. What's the difference? Too much of a bully. You had gone too far. You actually dared to look down on my Z clan like this. This matter absolutely cannot be left at that." The everlasting celestial emperor's beard was bristling. His anger was not fake at all. His eyes were wide open and his hair stood on end. His chest heaved up and down rapidly. It was obvious that the excitement and anger in his heart had reached its peak. At this moment, the entire great overarching heaven felt as if winter had arrived. An icy cold aura almost covered the entire world. Killing intent. Earth-shattering. Most of the officials were shocked to see this unforeseen event. At this moment, the everlasting celestial emperor's words were so shocking that he almost fainted. "Big brother? What was going on?" That lady named Zi Sheqing was obviously the daughter of the heavenly emperor of Zishao. She had already made it clear, but how did she become the niece of His Majesty? Just because her surname was Zi? That's not right, that's definitely not right. Does that mean that the purple firmament heavenly emperor, Zihao, is actually the elder brother of the everlasting heavenly emperor? Many old ministers recalled the past, especially during the Battle of Zishao Heaven. The great overarching heaven's geographical location was the most remote. It was the furthest from Zishao Heaven among the heavens. One was in the south and the other in the north, separated by millions of miles of mountains and rivers. And the news of the battle was heavily sealed. By the time the news of Zishao Heaven being invaded by the heavenly demons reached them, the battle was already nearing its end. The everlasting celestial emperor immediately disappeared for a few days and then returned with injuries all over his body. For some unknown reason he returned with serious injuries. But despite his serious injuries, the everlasting celestial emperor still stubbornly insisted on sending troops to Zishao Heaven. But everyone still remembered. At that time there were people who had doubts. The journey to Zishao Heaven was millions of miles away, and they had to pass through several heavens and earth. There would definitely be many disputes in the process. But the everlasting celestial emperor was stubborn and refused to compromise. He even said, "If anyone dares to stop me, I will directly attack them." At that time, the celestial emperor had clearly sunk into complete madness. However, when the army had just finished reorganizing and was about to set off for battle, there was news that the heavenly emperor of Zishao Heaven, Zihao, had died in battle and the entire Zishao Heaven had fallen. At that time, the everlasting celestial emperor, who was standing on the stage, vomited blood on the spot and fainted on the ground. At that time, the serious injuries on His Majesty's body had been forcibly suppressed for a long time. But he had been holding on with all his might. But the arrival of that news completely knocked the everlasting celestial emperor down. The injuries at that time were even more serious. After recuperating for thousands of years, he still could not fully recover, so the truth was actually like this. It turned out that the heavenly emperor of Zishao Heaven, Zihao, was His Majesty's biological elder brother? But regarding this layer of identity, everyone was still completely unaware. But looking at the Prime Minister and the few old ministers who had followed the everlasting celestial emperor for the longest time, they were not surprised by this news. Obviously they had known about it long ago. The group of martial ministers looked at Zi Wuji with extremely complicated gazes. They were all silent, waiting for His Majesty to speak again. Heavenly Emperor of Zishao Heaven, Zihao. What kind of legend was that? What kind of unparalleled hero was that? Strong and unyielding, resisting the heavenly demons. Looking at the entire heaven imperial court, who did not respect him. The heavenly emperor of this heaven turned out to be the younger brother of the purple firmament heavenly emperor. "Your Majesty, please don't be angry," the Prime Minister said in a low voice. This ranking was issued by the Celestial Mystery Intelligence Department of the Celestial Mystery Emperor. Of course, the Celestial Mystery Emperor arranged it himself. Mo Qingwu is the Celestial Mystery Emperor's younger sister. It's human nature for the Celestial Mystery Emperor to put her at the front. This may not have anything to do with the status of the princess. If you want to know the truth, I'm afraid you will have to go there in person. Zi Wuji said loudly, "Of course. My biological niece is getting married. Her father and mother are no longer here, so as her uncle, I am her father. How can I not be there when I'm her only family member?" The Princess of Two Heavens is getting married, how can I be so casual and shabby? Come. The everlasting celestial emperor's eyes were still filled with tears at this moment as he turned around and shouted. But the ministers all felt that. The situation in front of them seemed a bit strange. It seemed that, in his life since the death of the purple firmament heavenly emperor, His Majesty had never been as upright as he was today. His spirit had also never been so uplifted. It seemed like something that had been lost for a long time, after countless years of silence. It had once again awakened in him. Everyone could not help but burst into tears at this moment. Only now did everyone know how great of a blow the death of the purple firmament heavenly emperor had dealt to Ziwu. It actually made this iron-boned celestial emperor of a generation go through countless years in sadness, and he never truly recovered. Tell the Empress. Tell her to prepare this emperor's niece's dowry as soon as possible. I want the best, the most beautiful, the most precious, the more the better. Ziwuji's eyes lit up as he shouted. Yes. When the princesses of our great overarching heaven and purple firmament heavens get married, the dowry cannot be shabby no matter what. It must be sufficient, it must be in place. Do you understand? Even if the entire great overarching heaven is emptied. I also have to support my niece. This matter concerns the names of the two heavens, do you understand? Ziwuji's voice was a little hoarse, almost like he was roaring. Light up the 10 largest flying boats in this heavens to transport my niece's dowry. Prepare them immediately. Prepare the ceremony, it must be the most gorgeous, the most beautiful, the most beautiful, the most solemn, the most powerful. All relatives board the flying boats. My niece is getting married, but her family is not here. What a scandal. Although Ziwuji's voice was hoarse, it was getting louder and louder, and his essence, chi and spirit were becoming more and more exuberant. His majestic chest rose and fell rapidly, and his pupils even showed signs of enlarging at this moment. I will go personally. No matter the cost, as long as it is the best, the fastest. The face of my great overarching heaven can be lost. The face of Ziwuji can be trampled on by anyone. However, this matter concerns the face of purple firmament heavens. Cannot be lost. The face of purple firmament heavenly emperor cannot be lost. The face of purple firmament princess cannot be lost. Get to it immediately. Tomorrow morning I will set off immediately. Quick, quick, quick. A series of orders were roared out in a thunderous manner. Finally, as if venting, Ziwuji let out an earth-shattering roar, "Hurry!" Then he stood in a daze for a long time, and suddenly burst into tears again like a child. After a while he covered his face and disappeared in a flash. He must have found a quiet place to vent his emotions, or perhaps to reminisce about something. The military officials did not dare to neglect and immediately took action. Everyone's eyes were filled with hot tears. The entire great overarching heaven was operating at an unprecedented speed. A day's time was really short, but in a day's time, under full cooperation and extreme operation, many things could be done. The next day the sky was just beginning to brighten. Ziwuji could not wait to bring all the people and immediately set off, rushing to Demon Emperor Heaven at full speed. It was just that the battle array of great overarching heaven was quite shocking. Even the battle array of Dong Wushang Gudu Xing and the others was far inferior. The specific situation could be imagined. Hundreds of miles of the sky were lined up in a row, draped in red, and wherever they passed, fresh flowers would flutter. It was a majestic scene. Emperor Wuji's eyes were red. Obviously he hadn't slept at all last night. With his cultivation, even if he hadn't slept at all, he wouldn't be like this. Most likely it was because he had done that all night that his eyes were red. I'm going to take a good look today. If Chu Yang treats my niece well, I'll reluctantly accept him as my niece's son-in-law. With his current achievements and status, he's barely worthy of my niece. But if he treats my niece badly, I'd rather destroy the entire Daluo heavens to seek justice for this. I will bring my niece back. Princess of Purple Firmament Heavenly Palace, who dares to slight her? Ziwuji stood upright, his eyes like lightning. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.